Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Douglas Planning Board meeting for March 10th, 2020. The meeting is being recorded. It is available for viewing on the Douglas Public Access channel and on the Douglas website. We'll come to order at 7:02, and let the minutes show that Mike Zwicker is absent. First item on our agenda, public hearing continued. BWC WHITIN Reservoir LLC, BLUEWAVE Solar, application for site plan review. And also application for scenic road permit, but we won't be doing that tonight because that's being.
Right, they advertised for the first scenic road permit, the driveway was relocated.
Yeah.
So we had to re-advertise, so that's in the process, and I believe at the next meeting we'll be dealing with that.
March 24th. Good evening, everybody. My name is
Public hearing
David.
is now open.
Apologies. David Burson from Bacon Wilson. I'm covering for Tom Reedy tonight, who is unfortunately has another conflict this evening. So, that being said, I understand this is a continuation of a hearing that was heard on the 25th of February. With me tonight, and I'm here on behalf of BWC WHITIN Reservoir LLC, as you indicated. With me tonight is Jeff Murray here from Beals and Thomas, who is our engineer. We've got Jackie Firsty right here, as well as Patrick Kay. And I'm sorry, I didn't get your last name, Carly.
Carly Rowe.
Carly Rowe, all from BWC. Thank you very much for having us this evening. We did get those, the peer review comments back, and we actually just submitted our responses today as well. So I'm going to turn it over to Jeff here just to kind of go over those responses, and if we have any additional questions at that point, we'd be more than happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you. So, as mentioned, we did issue a response to the site plan review comments this afternoon, and kind of thinking the strategy for going through things might be to just start off with an overall update of the a refresher of the comments that were discussed last meeting and how those have been incorporated into the plans, in addition to the review comments in the letter, just so we can kind of start with those. So, as noted, we have shifted the proposed site entrance to the area previously discussed at the last meeting, which was moving it over closer to Susan's house here. It was previously shown over on this portion, but to improve the site distance, we've now located it in this area over here. So one of the first things we were talking about in terms of access was we were talking about vehicle turning movements and circulation in and out of the site during construction. We were discussing having deliveries approach the site from the south here and then making a right turn into the site. And then we talked about having those vehicles, delivery vehicles, taking a left turn only out of the site here. So we have added a sign at that location here for left turn only, so that people leaving the site know that they should be turning that direction and not making a turning movement out into Oak Street here where we have the less than ideal conditions in terms of site distance. But we have designed this opening here for WB67 tractor trailer truck turning movements. So it's more than adequately sized. We provided, along with our letter to Bill, I've given him a full complement of all the turning movements that were requested to show that we can get large trucks in and out of the site, as well as emergency response. We got a fire truck in there as well. One of the other things we talked about was showing a permanent paved apron about 20 feet into the site off of the current edge of pavement along Oak Street. So we have added that to the plans as well, so that's highlighted here in this shaded portion. So that apron there is going to be reduced in width and is going to accommodate the fire truck emergency access, smaller vehicles for the long term. And we've just added a note that that crushed stone apron that you see on the site prep plan for tracking purposes, make sure we're not tracking sediment into the street. That larger apron that's sized for the tractor trailers is going to be reduced down. So they're gonna be loaming and seeding these peripheral areas, and then reducing it down to an 18-foot wide gravel drive, meeting that 20-foot apron. Some of the additional notes we've also added to the plans was with respect to just basically noting that, you know, we're not gonna be doing any work beyond the proposed ECB line here, limited clearing. So we've added notes on both of the site prep sheets to make it clear that that is the limit of work. It's gonna be located and staked in the field by total station. So we got added that note here to basically reinforce that point that no work's occurring beyond those locations. And we've also added some additional notes, particularly at these, you know, property corners here, to protect existing monuments in those locations. I know that was something that was discussed previously as a concern. So, right where we have this new entrance proposed, again, we're minimizing our impacts in the scenic right-of-way. We're only impacting about 35 feet or so of wall here, so we're basically minimizing that impact there. So another thing you'll notice that's changed is we've relocated the temporary contractor staging area to basically be right along where we have the road proposed here. Previously we had it over in this area, which made sense, you know, when we were proposing to come in from this location. But now it's kind of so disconnected from our point of entry, it kind of makes it a little bit strange to have to try to circulate over to that direction. So I think it just is a better flow to have it directly along the access road in this location here. And then one of the other things that we also talked about was doing a brief kind of investigation into the, you know, another area along Oak Street that was discussed that was further down. So we put together a quick exhibit on that. And for a variety of reasons, you know, this area has issues. So this is where we have it shown now. Over here, we've got a lot more disturbance to the scenic right-of-way. Again, understanding that's going to be discussed more, but we just want to convey that there's a lot more mature public shade trees in this area that would need to be taken down in order to accommodate an entrance over here, as well as a whole other host of reasons, particularly stormwater being the most significant reason why we can't do it over here. You know, we understand that there's some existing you know, features in this area and some concerns about things and natural hydrologic patterns in this area. So it's just another reason why this is not a preferred location to do.
That's the third option, right?
This is the third option, which again,
That's perfect.
we're not comfortable proposing it here, so
Agreed.
we looked at it.
Yep.
We don't think it's the best choice here, so we've stuck with option 2. And then, again, I don't know how much you'd like me to go through the site plan review comments, but I'd be happy to go through those if you'd like, some of the things, or
Personally, I don't see the benefit
Right.
really
Yeah.
taking the board's time unless
Exactly.
you want them
Yep.
to. I'd like to go through them, go back and forth as
Yep.
we do. And
understood. I figured
It,
that would be
you know,
the
if
case. but-
90% of them are addressed, then we're done, you know.
Exactly. Yep.
That's fine.
So I think, yeah,
I
that,
don't want it as a condition.
well, those were,
So bring it up with them.
Yeah.
so I think the other thing that was discussed last time was preparing a ground shading analysis, which I believe BLUEWAVE can help me in explaining that. So we prepared an exhibit, which you should have in your handout here. I'll just put this up on the board here. And again, maybe BLUEWAVE can assist. It's basically a comparison between the ground cover shading for a traditional solar array versus a dual-use solar array, so
And the one you're proposing is a dual use?
Yes.
With the tracking?
with the tracking, correct, which is the bottom scenario here.
So this is a shade tool actually that we helped the state design to qualify dual use projects for. And basically what it shows is each square foot, there's sun angles in every location in the state, and so it uses those sun angles to quantify how many hours per day and per month are being hit with sunlight or not based on the angle of the panels and the height of the panels. So this is a standard project which is fixed tilt about 4 feet off the ground, which means when it's tilted it's a little bit lower than that on the edge. And they're 10-foot spacing, whereas this is our project design, which is 16 feet in a row spacing and 10 feet raised above the ground with single axis trackers. So you can see here that none of the area is shaded more than 50% of the time of this growing season that the state has defined as what they want to pay attention to, which is from March to October. And they test it from like 9 to 5 and then 10 to 6 on shoulder months. But that's just, this is that entire time period, and so it just gives you an idea of how much of the area underneath the panels and around the panels is getting shaded. More than 50% of the time, that's what's red. And so you can see that there's some areas that are shaded almost 100% of the time when you have normal shade solar arrays, and you can even see underneath those arrays the grass still grows. And there's actually, it's actually better underneath the panels than it is a lot of times in between if you ever go to a solar array. So it shows that this is not going to be an issue at all for a project that's hanging, because it's also grass and will actually probably enjoy having some shade, but it's not even going to be more than 50% of what's normally reaching the ground with no arrays at all.
You said grass,
Well, so grass and hair, I mean more similar than a crop, for example.
right, but not farming crops per se, would not benefit as much by 50% shading.
Well, they may. Some crops are
Well, it
shade
could-
tolerant and prefer
there
shade,
are.
and some are
The
more sun.
tobacco, things like that.
Right,
yeah.
so it just depends on the property.
The
Yeah,
blueberries
what
ain't full
they'll be
sun.
doing. Sure, but yeah, with this project, it's anticipated to be a haying operation. So
And have you addressed the no use of pesticides or herbicides?
So, if I might jump on that.
Please do.
Thanks. So, once again, David Burson from Bacon Wilson. So, I mean, we certainly don't have any qualms with not using pesticides specifically in the solar portion. The concern is really just prohibiting any, pesticide use in the agricultural portion, where, quite frankly, it's out of our control to, our concern is that in the future, let's say 10 years down the line, you've got a agricultural operator who's using approved, pesticides approved at the federal and state level and using them in accordance with the Massachusetts Pesticide Control Act. But because they're using pesticides, it then becomes a violation of our solar permit. It just, that's our concern is coming into a situation where some unrelated use is creating an enforcement action against our permit.
We understand your
Sure.
position on that, but there's a request from abutters as
Mm-hmm.
such, as we heard, and you can do quite successfully without herbicides or
That
pesticides.
may be the case, but we're not farmers. We're not in the practice of
Yeah,
farming.
but you're controlling the site, though.
But
You're not
I
gonna
mean-
spray them around your arrays and stuff like that.
we're happy with the
We
condition
control
relative to the
everything.
arrays, but we really, I mean, and there are some other, I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty legal details, but I'm happy to if this board would
What
like
do you,
me
what do you
to.
mean around the
So-
arrays? So you're gonna spot spray down a line and around the arrays or through the arrays? I mean, the whole thing's an array. What are you talking about?
No, but you would.
What am I not picking up, I guess?
What's your question? I mean,
No, the
they're
question-
not using any
We're-
herbicides
No, I
or
know they're
pesticides.
not.
Right,
But-
that's our position is we're not going to use them at all.
Right.
But
But-
there's, if somebody has a spray license, there is no one's telling them they can't use approved or organic or anything. If they have a
Right.
spray license, they can spray whatever they want.
But our issue
Right.
is that puts a burden then on the agricultural individual to prove that they've got a spray license for pesticides if they're now operating on the agricultural portion.
There
of
is
the
a
site.
list that you don't need a spray license that you can use.
No, I understand that, but
And there's a
that's
list
my,
that you
but
can.
that's my point is that there's already a Massachusetts entity, there's the Massachusetts Pesticide Control Act, which has been created, as well as some other bodies associated with it. But my point is that it's, the whole purpose is to regulate what is and what is not allowed for pesticide use.
Right.
And some things that are pesticides and are allowed could still be technically I think we'd be fine as long as it's tailored to, best agricultural practices or,
Well, that's,
you know,
that's just words. People say
it's
organic.
words, but it's got
there's-
legal weight to it, and
Okay.
I've got case law which indicates that it may be illegal for a board to tailor conditions relative to pesticides in
But
that
just
way.
bring that.
I have it here, I'm happy to provide it.
Provide it,
Great.
that's fine, that's fine. If we can't, suggest, and we can't mandate that, even though there's been requested by the abutters, that no herbicides or pesticides used on a solar array project, then that's fine. But I just
Well,
want
I want to be very clear here. I want to be very, very clear. We have no issues with respect to having a condition relative to us using pesticides.
In your footprint, right?
Correct.
In your footprint where you are.
Correct. Our issue is that we don't, well, no.
Sorry, this is
Sorry.
Patrick. So Patrick with Blue Wave. I think we will not be using any pesticides on the equipment on the array itself, just to be clear. So that is under the footprint, Ashley. You would say, well, of course, there won't be any pests on there, and that's okay. We're saying from a solar PV equipment side, we will not have any pesticides. But to the extent that there's a farming operation there, which we are proposing, that over the course of, we're talking about 20 years here, that somebody wants to farm this land the same way they could do today without a solar array. Today they could come in and if the operation changed and they wanted to grow hay and they want to spray the hay, they could do that today.
Yes, they could.
We're just saying we're not proposing changing anything there, but we also don't want to hinder anything there. We will not use it
Yep.
for the solar system itself,
Right.
but to the extent that a farmer comes in and wants to do this and
They
wants
will
to
have
use
to go through their
pesticides,
own,
herbicides,
they'll have to
And
go
they-
through
they
their
don't
they
have
should do
procedure.
just the way they could do it
Exactly.
today.
Right. They'd still have to go through
We're
their
just trying not to
spraying
limit-
licensing and all that,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
What
We'll
rules
address
exist
that
today
when the
under
farmer
the
comes
rules?
in.
okay, so folks don't care in general. I mean, it's just, folks don't care in general that there could be used pesticides and herbicides there. Whether regulated or not regulated, they can use whatever they want based on what the farmer wants to use. And is allowed to use, well, not allowed. If he has his license, he can use anything that's out there.
And we have no
And
say
that's
over
okay,
that.
so we're not concerned about
It's
that,
outside
right?
of scope.
Is that what we're saying here? We're not concerned about it.
I'm saying that
That's all,
it's
that's
not,
okay.
it's not part of their,
No, I understand that, but who's gonna own the site? Who owns the site?
Somebody else, the landowner.
Right, you're
Farmer.
leasing the site, and the landowner has asked, if I heard incorrectly, that she was hoping there'd be no pesticides or herbicides used on that, because she has cattle nearby.
That's
No,
the
I
abutter.
think
That's
we're-
that's the
right.
The
abutter.
abutter.
It's the
Yeah,
abutter.
we're all hoping that it's not used, but it's not affiliated with
Okay,
this
it's off the
project.
table, that's fine.
When,
Let it go.
when the
Let it go.
farming aspect of it comes in, then we'll deal with it. you know?
They won't come in, they're not gonna come in, they don't have to come in. Why would they have to come in?
Right, so,
No one regulates us, we
and they've
regulate
said they'll
ourselves.
provide documentation that they're not gonna use pesticides, so I
That's
don't
all.
think we can.
Like I
give them
said,
anything else other than that.
we're happy
If
with a
there's
condition that's
infiltration
tied to
of-
Alright, one at a time,
specifically
one at a
Surety.
time.
I think that's all.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you, all right, so we got that issue squared away. All right.
Can you provide the,
Yes,
case number
I'll leave them with you as
for our
I.
education?
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions about the shading analysis at all?
Okay.
It looks really
It's up to the
good.
farmer, great.
Oh,
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
It's already approved,
guys.
then, yeah, it's good for us.
Jeff, was there any comments, I guess, for the back and forth with Bill that was 50-50, that was concerning? I guess if we're not gonna go through all
Just
that?
submitted them,
No,
so
but-
Bill didn't get a chance to say back and forth.
Well, he's gone through his initial review. Is there any items that were, you concerned that there's a disconnect on?
The pilot program has been disconnected here.
I mean, we've provided responses to all the comments in the letter. You know, the only thing that is outstanding is just stormwater, because Bill hasn't, we're gonna plan to meet with him to go through the stormwater.
It's all gonna come in on the next meeting.
Correct. So I think that's really the only thing that's outstanding. There's a cross-section that I wanna go through. That was one of the things we talked about, was just looking at a elevation cross-section
Yeah.
from Oak Street up
Yep.
to the project area, so I will, put that up here.
Nope, 14 pages. Yours did, so mine might be faulty. Was there only 2?
No,
Or- Maybe I'll try another one.
So, this cross-section here is shown from looking at the project from Oak Street. This is Susan's house here. So we're basically looking, straight at the site from the road, for perspective. This is essentially the view we're looking at here, just straight at the site here. We've got, a wall here of existing trees to remain. So we've got about 280 feet of woodland to remain here. We've got a large number of tall white pines here right at the back of the yard. So what this is showing is basically, this is a profile, this is all existing grade, all existing trees to remain. This point here represents the limit of tree clearing, limit of work. Then you're coming up that stormwater basin berm here, and then this is where the panels are, up in this area. So, elevation wise, the berm of the stormwater basin is, it is higher than existing grade, but not necessarily high enough or higher than these panels. However, we have almost 300 feet of thickness of trees, and as you saw, there's a number of tall trees right at the forefront there. So
the only way someone's gonna see it from the road is if they flying their drone over it.
Yep.
Bucket truck.
yeah, they get
With the binocular.
elevated somehow, I guess. So.
Okay.
So again, that was that portion of it. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else here. I can just kind of try to run through some of the things besides the access. So that was really the major changes, was just down in this area. The stormwater basin is exactly the same. The only thing we did was basically disconnect that kind of access ramp we had there, being as this area now. We're just trying to basically keep it as just a field.
You still had a retention pond there, right, that you're still catching?
Yep, this is it's the same exact shape. It's just we've taken the road and we've switched it from over here to over here. Everything else pretty much stayed the same. We've just added additional labeling and things, to address Bill's markups of the plans, just more notes.
Did you expand that retention pond there because of the road shifting on the higher grade? So since you shifted the road going more to the right into the property, did you expand that in any way?
Nope, the pond is exactly the same.
Okay.
The only thing we did was there was a kind of a earthen ramp coming down here, because that's where the road was.
Yep.
So we just basically pulled back that ramp.
Okay.
Since it's not really needed, we still have a way that we can access the basin outlet for maintenance here.
Okay.
So everything should still be accessible.
And the other basins remain the same?
Yeah.
All the other basins remain exactly as we had them previously. That's correct.
Cool. Alright.
So let's see. Yep. So this is the site prep plan that we went through last time, but everything else up on this sheet and area is essentially the same. One of the things Bill had asked for in his plan markups that he can speak to is he wanted to have us add basically an orange construction fence along the wherever we're getting close to the abutting property lines here. So what I did was anywhere where our limit of work line is within 25 feet of that property line, we've basically said we want you to put up that orange construction fence behind the ECB line, just to make it clear, like, this is the limit of work and we're not going beyond this point. So basically that follows that around to anywhere we're within, about 25 feet or so. I mean, this side, we've got that contiguous 25-foot buffer, so it didn't really seem necessary to go all the way around with it, since we do have that buffer here. So basically I only put it along these spots where we are really close on that side. Unfortunately, we have, I think one of his comments had to do with staking out property line as well, every 50 feet, which I'm not quite sure is totally necessary, since this property is almost encircled entirely by stone walls. So it's like that right there is an indicator. Not only is it on the plan, but it's also a physical indicator of, like, that's the property line. So putting a wooden stake in just seems kind of a little unnecessary.
Yeah.
So that was another thing.
That's fair.
So.
And you got a stone wall on the top of the property where you're gonna propose your orange fence?
Yep, so there's an existing stone wall that's
Runs
that's
along.
all the way up, runs along here, so that's gonna remain in place, and then we have this offset by, 5 feet or so, and then we've got the orange fence.
And that's only during construction, right? You're pulling in that
And,
part.
yeah, exactly. It'll be removed after construction, along with the erosion control, once everything's fully vegetated and stabilized. So,
Just a quick question again, how many megawatts?
3.9 megawatts DC is the array capacity.
And what is the rough and tough construction cost proposed? for The entire project?
8.4.
I think we said about 8.4 was the estimated.
Do you wanna just quickly review your waiver requests,
Sure.
so we can be thinking about those?
So yeah, this was the waiver request we submitted. We had submitted it previously, but then we hadn't included a waiver request for an architectural plan. So our waiver requests are from section 5.3 for general landscaping requirements, which again, I think pertains mostly to screening of projects from other, properties. So we basically noted that the facility will be set back 550 feet from Oak Street. And again, to the east and the south and a portion of the north, we've got, significant wooded buffers. We've added in those screening plantings here at kind of the southwest corner. And the second was for just a utility and landscaping plan, and as well as an architectural plan and a standalone landscaping plan. So it's just really just a way that we set our plans up a little bit differently. We typically do like a site prep, erosion control plan, layout of materials, and then grading, drainage, and drainage plan.
Either of these.
So for the general landscaping one, so that 5.3.1 through to the 9, is that excluding the proposed screening? I'm not sure which section is those referenced, but, so you've got proposed screening, just not on the front
Right,
of
I
the
think-
property.
Yeah.
So we don't wanna ask for the whole screening to be waived. The 5.3.1 to 9. I probably got here.
Right, just waiving the front portion
Because
because they're so far back and
Yeah, we
we've got
don't-
a tree buffer.
Right.
Yeah, 300 feet.
I'm guessing
Yeah,
that
no.
section's probably geared more towards like a traditional, like, commercial site development type thing.
Yeah.
It might be along the
I mean,
street.
often ask for waivers for things like that if we don't feel there's like a commercial building would have like a concrete landscaping plan associated with it.
Oh.
Well, you're right though, there is technically,
A natural buffer.
right,
And then plus you're elevated too, so on top of that.
Yeah, I just wanna be clear that the noted screening is to remain, when what you're proposing on the plan versus, cause this is saying, like, you're essentially saying no landscaping. Right? Or screening.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've got just these screen trees here.
I think the intent behind the waiver was just to say, intent was to waive the formal requirement for a landscaping plan, I think, where we would be formally landscaping the property. I mean, I think we're here where we're not adding necessarily a lot of landscaping because there is this natural screening, and I think that was the intent behind the waiver. You're right. The
We just have
intent,
to
right, the
clarify
intent is to
language.
just clarify that the
Yeah.
intent is to keep what's
That's all.
there, right.
Cause if we
That and add those in there.
grant
Right,
this
right,
waiver
right.
as it says it,
Right.
Yeah.
then we can't hold you to any screening.
Sure.
Is what I'm kinda going for.
Yeah, as set forth
Included
on
everything.
as set forth on the plans, yeah,
Yeah.
we wanna make it clear that,
Yeah.
this is what.
Yeah, cause
Right.
the neighbors would weigh in
Sure.
on this type of waiver.
Right.
Yeah, we don't have an objection to that.
Not at all.
If it's referencing the approved plan, which has the trees on it, however you wanna do it, but that's all right.
Right.
Okay, sorry, so the second one, the contents is fine.
I'm okay with that, so,
Yeah. Architectural plan.
yeah, it doesn't, it's not germane.
No, it's, then a site, contents, landscaping plan. No, no.
Okay, so now this one is requesting the landscaping plan.
Right. But they would-
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, it's just kind of giving you free rein on that additional screen plantings will be selectively planted to further obscure the project, as indicated on the site plans. Yeah,
So-
So there's no s-
we're
any-
using this
the
as
site
a
plan is the
landscaping
landscaping
plan.
plan
Yeah,
effectively.
you bundle
Yeah.
them together.
yeah,
Right.
that's fine.
Yeah, but
That's probably a more effective way to label it.
Jeff, you may want to talk to Bill about that orange fence that's on the back of the property along the stone wall.
Okay.
If the stone wall's already addressing the need there,
Yeah. Yeah, that was probably one of those things that we could just talk through
You
and
may
see
not-
what makes sense,
may not
because
need
it may
it.
not make
Yeah.
sense
Yeah.
to put in thousands of feet of plastic fence if
Right.
it's
Right,
really
why-
not
why is it
necessary.
that?
putting a
Yeah.
stone wall. but it's
Exactly,
prevent-
yep.
So, okay. Cool.
Okay.
Anything else?
No,
It's called the pilot program. That's in here. They will not negotiate that.
okay.
They'll
You wanna
get- well-
address that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to.
Sure.
I think I mean, ultimately, we would love to have a pilot. I mean, from our perspective, I mean, just as a practically speaking, from a financing standpoint, it makes things a lot more real, pragmatic and realistic for us to move forward, knowing exactly what we're gonna be spending on taxes moving forward. So it's always ideal for us to negotiate one. The concern, though, is that if for some reason we can't come to an agreement with the town, we don't want this permit to just be dead. I mean, we'd be happy to be subject to whatever your existing tax rate in that situation is. I mean, we don't want that. I mean, as I mentioned, our plan is to negotiate a pilot because it's really what makes it
Right.
effective to operate these things and actually make them real happen. But that being said, if for some reason the permit is contingent upon the pilot, then we get into a situation where, if for some reason we've got everything we need approved here, but then for some reason we can't get our act together with the select board or assessors, and then all of a sudden we can't operate this site, it seems to be a disconnect there where, quite frankly, this board's concern should be on the design of the site and its appropriateness for the location
Well,
and so
And
on
the
and so forth.
well-being of the town.
And the well-being of town, of course, in general, but,
And that has to do with
and our concern
money's
is just
responsible.
getting into a situation where we're
Yeah.
defaulting on our permit for something that has nothing to deal with,
Yeah.
how we've planned it.
I think prior applicants have
all of them.
had a talks with the selectmen and stuff like that ongoing,
Mhm.
as they were forming with us as well, so a continuation of both.
So you should
And
get.
like I said, our only concern is just having it conditioned upon the
We're
pilot.
not
That's our
ready,
concern.
we're not ready to vote, so
Yeah.
why don't you start getting before the
Well, it's-
selectmen now,
that-
I guess?
it's
Is
the
that how it
length.
goes?
So,
lengthy
so
process.
alternatively, you would be paying the taxes on the
Correct.
value.
It does
Of
not
personal
benefit, it does
property.
not benefit us to not have a pilot
Correct.
at all.
So,
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, I mean, just speaking from, my experience, I can't remember a single permit that I've had
I've
that
never
has
done one that-
conditioned it on a pilot, but
Right.
we've always had
Well,
a pilot.
that's what I was just
So-
about to say, I don't,
So, I mean, we would like to, because it helps give
Right.
everyone a view for the next 20 years on exactly what income the town's gonna bring in and exactly what expense the project has, so everyone feels good about it from day one, no one ever has to worry about it, you don't get a tax bill and you say, oh, I'd like to,
I'm gonna
appeal,
argue
or-
against
yeah.
this, right.
It's set, everyone knows it, and it's nice and easy, it's just never been a part of a planning board approval that I've ever done,
Well,
at least it might exist.
The
Yeah, I'm
the
curious.
property's in 61A right now, correct? In the back. So it has to come out of 61A.
It will have to come out of 61A.
So you have to talk to
That's
selectmen
a
anyway.
long
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not suggesting,
yeah.
we're not gonna talk to
First
selectmen.
rider.
that's
Yeah.
gonna
We
happen, I
definitely-
mean, that has to happen
I mean,
as a
Yeah,
as a
so
product.
we do that
of
all the
this
time too
project.
as well. So that'll all happen, I just, I guess maybe I'll ask this question, I'm curious the background of the inquiry in the first place, is there a specific thought you had regarding tying it to the approval?
It's
or-
all the other projects that seem to,
All the other projects. are
They've
pilot
all
programs
agreed, and it's
that
been
have
a
negotiated
very-
with the
Oh, I mean,
select
like I
No,
said,
no,
we-
is
we-
that a pilot, or
we
it's been
want-
conditioned
right,
on
like I
the-
said, we would love to
yeah,
have a
they're all
pilot.
conditioned, that's what we've been doing, so.
Huh,
yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
We're
Yeah.
we're working with you, it's just.
No, no, yeah,
And-
like
and
I
it's
said, it's,
coordination with the selectmen board,
Right.
Yeah.
so there's no disconnect and stuff like that. Since the property has to come out of 61A, it's gonna come before this board anyways for input.
yeah, for that purpose, for chapter 61 purpose.
Yeah. Oh, no,
the
I mean,
selectmen will make the final determination,
Correct.
so
Correct.
it'll be
Correct.
formally in
And
front
that's
of them.
correct,
So,
for
so
that
the,
purpose.
Go
I
ahead.
don't
Chapter
see
You know, the
61
interesting-
purposes.
What's the
There-
advantage of requiring to have a condition for that? I guess what's the other side? Like, why would you wanna force them to do that?
I don't know, I think we've had it as a condition, and they've all agreed beforehand.
And that's our concern, is just we see a potential scenario in which it could be problematic in the future. I mean, I don't, like I
But
said, we really just, we need to have a pilot.
But
to make
are
this
solar
realistic.
farms appealing the assessment
Part of
versus
the-
having it set in stone
Right,
as
that's
the
why-
payments? Is
I
that
don't
what
think
the?
that, I don't think that, I mean, part of the pilot is your,
You're a benefit of the buyer.
right, the benefit
Not
is
a
that,
way.
is that it's set, so you don't, generally you don't appeal the taxes, because,
No, I'm talking about without a pilot.
I mean, they can, I don't know of any that are
What happened in
operating without
Webster?
one, quite frankly. All the solar arrays that I've dealt with have all gone into the pilot process with the town, every
Okay.
single one of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't dealt with any that are questioning a tax bill based on, personal property rate. I mean,
Right.
they just,
That's what I
every,
was thinking, the assessment and then the,
We haven't,
they just don't operate that way, quite frankly.
we haven't done any of that.
Yeah.
on the
the
ground.
depreciation.
So I never, yeah, I don't know.
But why wouldn't you go to the selectmen readily now, and by the time we're ready to
They
vote,
just
you
don't
may
want
have
to.
you may have it may all be set, so you might have a pilot.
I
It's-
can,
it's
I'll-
possible. Oh,
I can-
sure,
I
go
can
ahead,
over
yeah.
that. You know, one thing too is kind of logistical, kind of timing of a lot of these processes where in many cases, towns or the board of selectmen cannot get the okay to even, and I don't know exactly how it works here, but in those, but you know, they may not get the okay to execute a pilot until a town hall meeting. And sometimes that can happens on an annual basis. So now you're talking about maybe having everything else ready for a permit to start construction yet.
That's,
See the harm.
You can't formally execute a
I don't see the
pilot
harm.
until the town hall meeting, which maybe is in, November. So there's timing and logistical, I mean,
it depends on your city government, but that's generally, in order for a select board to negotiate, there's two votes. One is to negotiate, and then one is to actually sign a pilot. So you
That's
need
right.
two separate town meeting votes per
What-
pilot,
Yeah.
unless there was a
I'm pretty
previous
sure we
vote.
do that too.
Unless there was a previous vote that gave the select board the authority generally for all
We should do that.
solar.
Yeah.
It's possible.
I think, yeah, if you
We have that
investigate it,
warrant.
I
Yeah.
believe the selectmen sign off on it.
I've
I don't
heard
know,
individually
I've
every
seen it
time.
on the warrant.
I've heard
Yeah,
nothing.
it goes- it
We've
goes
heard
on
nothing
the
contrary to
does,
that,
yeah.
Les.
Our annual town
Yeah.
meeting isn't until May, so that gives you
Right, it's
time
probably,
to
I mean, to
warrant
get it on the
closes
warrant.
the end of
process
the
and
month,
negotiate.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That means the warrant would be closing
the end of the month,
the end of the month.
I'm pretty sure.
Selectmen meeting.
Okay,
next
so
week.
I guess I'd like to see the negative of not having this condition. If we could talk about what is the objection to that?
Well, say they take the assessment scenario and they find out legally that they can challenge the assessment and the town gets half buckets out of this, I mean, we're here, this is a $10 million project. And,
8.4.
huh?
8.4.
Yeah, something around
It'll be a
there.
$10 million project by the time it's done. But anyway, and there's land value and everything else. So, I mean, this is a town that's not, it's not Wellesley, it's, so we want to, there's very few opportunities that we can do as a board to try to assist the town in its future, so.
So with the dual use for the agricultural, what are the benefits that they're, could you simply tell us what the benefits are that they're getting from, the tax? Are they getting any benefits as far as
From a tax
taxes? Yeah,
standpoint?
like
No, I mean,
agricultural
Because
use.
It has to be,
no, as a matter
it
of
has to
fact,
be removed from chapter 61.
yeah, I'd say as a matter of fact, it's losing the benefit.
Right.
Because it's losing the benefit of chapter 61, so it'll be coming out
But
of
you
that.
get extra bonus points for doing the dual use.
For
On
your
the
reimbursement.
smart.
Oh, not from.
For the smart.
Oh, do you mean from
From
the
the smart program?
smart
I mean,
program
generally speaking, that's
versus
what
a
the
standard
last.
array?
Yes.
That's correct.
Yes.
Versus standard
Okay.
array, that's
Oh,
correct.
not
But
from
of
like a
course there's-
land taxing standpoint, though. It's-
No.
You're right. No. Just from
Can-
the smart program, which of course is added cost, naturally.
If under the new ownership, the land has been farmed for 3 continuous years, can that property owner, who's the underlying leaser, go for a 61A because it's being farmed?
No,
Can't go back in.
no.
You can go back in after it's out, if you farm it for a particular amount of years. But I don't know because of the solar. don't
Yeah,
know if that's
I mean,
possible.
I would imagine,
cannot.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's effectively
Right.
being converted for other use of that.
because we bought a property and we're
Right.
going back into 61A. It was out of 61A when we bought it, so, anyway.
I mean, I think that'd be,
Okay, so back to the pilot issue.
What do you say, Bill? What say you?
I think they need to make the request to have that as a condition, that's what I think.
That's what we're discussing.
Yeah,
Wait,
we're discussing
Yeah.
that.
So we shouldn't impose it, they should request it.
Okay, if they would like it to be a condition
At their
of their.
request, at
Okay.
their request.
So they have not requested it.
Right.
Okay. They're not going to be requesting it.
No, thank you.
Okay,
Yeah,
so we worked through that, so I'm good.
yeah, good. All right, board, anybody else on the board have any questions?
Comments in the audience?
I'm asking if the board has any. No? Okay, Bill, any comments?
I was just gonna ask Jeff if, since we do have an hour, is there anything in the response letter, that you took issue with? That's number one. And number two, if you wanted to run through the waiver.
We just did that.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, Bill, we asked them both those.
That's what we were just doing, the waivers.
All right.
Okay, anything on the waivers that you?
I don't know what they are. I
Oh,
get
okay,
all.
okay.
Yeah.
There's only four.
Who wrote the, just,
It's generally a
Yeah, I'll
plan,
look at it.
architectural
Yeah.
plan waiver.
we don't have to
Okay.
rehash that.
No big deal.
Josh, we don't have to rehash it.
Yeah, no, so I'm just looking, glancing through these, quickly here. So, I mean, I think the only thing that we kind of wanna confirm here, so I think there was a comment number 11 pertained to, you know, talking about the site access and, the, you know, ASHTO requirements. I know we had discussed this last time, so
You're good where you are now.
we provided a response that basically kind of reiterated our prior discussion, and then we kind of, you know, we discussed last time how through means of using a particular traffic pattern of, you know, right turn into the site, left turn out of the site, as well as flagman and or police detail to supplement during construction period when we're going to have, you know, brief intensive periods of traffic, if that is, you know, enough to basically provide adequate, you know, safety for entering the site, you know. And then in the long term, being as we're gonna have very, very little traffic once the project's constructed. So it was kind of just
That's fine.
talking through that.
Did you go over the apron as being asphalt? That's-
Yep,
yeah.
yep. So yeah,
What's
we
that?
did, we did change that there, yep. For the kind of permanent post-construction condition. Let's see here.
So I think we just need to review.
Yeah, so, Jeff and I are gonna be meeting to go over stormwater and, later this week, and I'll respond to their responses. And, we'll take it from there.
Anybody in the audience have any questions? Name and address, please.
Lori Hout, 41 Oak Street. I have questions about the visual buffer in the long term. You know, the area, we're over to the right on this image. So the area up and to the left, you're putting in some trees there. What if these trees, you know, don't make it, so to speak? And also below that, when you're looking up from the road, so you're saying that you're gonna have I might be wrong on this, but you're saying that you're gonna have a waiver so that you don't have to put in any buffer there, so the property owner or the conditions of the wetlands there could dictate whether that current screening continues over time? Am I making sense?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, so the intent is not to add any additional trees or vegetated screening, correct? Right on the,
Well, no, Jeff's
Yeah.
standing, Jeff can, on that area, I was.
to the, I mean, there will be, there right, there will be up here, but
Where
down,
they're on the
Yeah.
top.
but down bordering the wetlands.
Yeah.
The wetlands themselves, I mean, we can't do anything in the wetlands, so we, you know.
Right, but you're saying you're not gonna put any visual screening above that?
So, so directly
Because
north.
there's
Let me,
so
I'll
many-
point this so you know, where,
So
are
just
you
so we're all talking
speaking
about
of
the same
here,
spot.
or are you speaking about here?
Yeah, that probably, that probably makes more sense.
So,
Yeah,
right here, we have trees, right? And you're
Correct.
saying that that's the visual buffer
correct.
to not seeing the panels
On-
up here?
In addition to the,
Elevation.
to the berm,
Right.
the effective
Right.
berm that'll be there for the stormwater.
And you have
Okay.
a view of that too, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So you'll see the berm.
So yeah,
wanna
You
go
go
to the
see,
section.
you probably won't even see the
We
verb.
wanna do the
He has a
section.
winter, if you can show the winter
The
picture
section's
too, you
good.
can see how, you can hardly even see up there in the first.
So
picture.
what I'm concerned about is if these plants, you know, they're constantly changing, it's wetlands, right? They're not long-standing plants, they die, they fall. What happens if we then end up seeing this years down the road? And same thing with these, what happens if these trees die or whatever, something happens to them down the road? That's my question.
I mean, I can't speak to the wetlands. I mean, we don't have any. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's unfortunately, that is literally,
The ecosystem of it.
yeah, just the ecosystem, it's out of our control. As far as the trees that are gonna be planted, along this portion of, thank you, Jeff. I believe as part of this, you know, this permit, the understanding is gonna be that, you know, those trees will have to be maintained, and they're gonna have to be kept alive as part of this process. They will have to maintain any vegetative buffers that we add to the property.
Right, well, yeah, I don't know if
I
that was
mean,
mentioned in the
right,
meeting,
right,
so we just
we would
wanted to
have
know
to-
if that was
Oh,
actually part of
yeah,
the
so I mean,
agreement.
as far as the what we're adding, that's absolutely the case. I mean, the concern is the wetlands. I mean, obviously, they're wetlands. I mean, you're right, they are their own crazy beast in Massachusetts. And they, I mean, I don't believe they changed that drastically, though. I mean, the types of changes you see with wetlands are generally, I don't think you're gonna see a large swath of wetlands like that disappear anytime soon.
Well, I'm the lucky person who moved into that property less than a year ago, so, you know. We just wanna make sure it
Sure.
doesn't, you know, we don't have this huge ugly thing that we're staring at, especially if we decide to sell, which we may.
Very understandable.
Anybody else? Name and address, please.
Julie Mazinski, 60 Oak Street. There was talk before about a fence all around the property, the solar.
During construction.
Oh, are you talking about the construction fencing, the orange construction fencing?
No.
No, the fence.
Are you talking about the perimeter fence?
Yeah,
Right.
The chain link fence,
Right.
correct, yep.
And how high off the ground is that going to be?
So the overall height of the fence is proposed to be 7 feet,
Yeah.
but then, again, it was a conservation issue, but we did revise the detail to have a critter gap underneath for wildlife movement, but the overall height of the fence is 7 feet.
And how much is the critter?
I think it was 8 inches, I think, 6 or 8. I think 6 maybe. Have to look at the detail here.
No coyotes, no deer. Well, deer, well, they can always jump 6 feet.
Right
Go
over
through.
Yeah.
Crossing?
Hopefully they can get.
Yeah,
I'm sorry?
8-inch critter
8 inch.
gap
8
for the
inch?
bottom of the under the bottom of the fence.
So you were gonna use a 7-foot fence, but now will you use a 7-foot fence and go to 7/8?
No, you just leave the
bottom.
fabric.
No, I understood that, but were you using before a 7-foot fence was what you were
We're
proposing?
proposing it before, yeah.
But could you use a 7-foot fence and raise that up and still use, is that what you're asking for, more height? I'm asking,
She's just wondering what it is. She's not asking for anything. You wanted to just know what
I
it was.
just want to know what
Yeah.
is there for
So
the
it's an
critters to get through.
8-inch critter fence at the bottom.
Because there's wildlife
And
up
it's still
there.
the same height.
oh, okay.
The height
Yeah.
still stays at
Yeah, it wasn't for visual, it was
I
for
think,
wildlife.
yeah.
Good.
Yeah, wildlife, yep.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay, Shirley, go ahead.
So 8 inches, you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. I am concerned about sort of the attitude of a pesticide, because especially with the fact that Roundup now, which, it was the best thing since whatever, and now you're seeing lawsuits because people have come down with cancer directly related to Roundup. So
They're saying they're not gonna use any.
okay.
So
But
so
that
to the
needs
extent
to
of this
be in the
project and what we're
plans.
overseeing, they're
And
not
that's
gonna
gonna
be
be
using any
stated.
pesticides.
Yeah,
But the-
the only ability.
But the farmer may use some
If
later.
the farmer comes
Just
in,
be
then
clear about that,
we'll-
yeah,
we'll-
yeah.
we'll
They
have
can-
to
they
deal
can
with that
use what they're
issue,
gonna
yeah.
use, right, right.
Hopefully they won't.
And I just want to compliment you in that, for safety reasons especially, moving that road, the,
Yep.
access to it, because
Yep.
just come and sit in my driveway. And when the summer, because again, like I stated the last time, there's at least 200 campsites that people stay during the summer months, travel to work and back. There's another, I don't know how many sites down below that in the next town. So, believe me, it's a safety issue.
Thank you, Shirley. Yes, sir. Name and address?
Bill Rossi, 41 Oak Street. I can't see the plan from here, but when you move the road, do you also move the utility connection?
Yeah. Yes, we did. We moved the interconnect to a pole basically right across from that apron. So, yeah, it's no longer coming through the area where we had it before. So,
Bill?
Along those same lines, and maybe I missed it when I was out, it did strike me, and I meant to put it on my notes, but a lot of these solar arrays have those wacky telephone pole arrangements.
Column 6?
Yeah, and
Hartford
weird
Road.
configurations and whatnot, that's pretty unsightly, and they always jam it up against the road. So I'm wondering what the plan is, can you go over that, Jeff?
I can help a little bit with that. So that's a discussion with the local utility. So National Grid will be the ultimate dictator of.
Is that
what-
something that can be located underground?
It's really up to their plan. They could do some underground, they do some where you don't have a pole farm that you have, and then you have somewhere it's just, there might be some existing infrastructure that they just bolt on to the kind of another pole that's nearby. It's really a discussion with their project design team to get that moving, and they don't do that until you have a permit and you kind of have a project that you're working through.
So I wonder if we can have, at least the board can think about maybe conditions to that end, you know.
I think we're allowed to do that.
Maybe put,
No.
Well, you can put a preference.
Oh, you could,
GPU stuff?
No, what the appearance is that, regarding uses of underground.
Or we
What you're-
designate an area for
An
the
area.
utilities.
You're gonna do a pole farm.
well, could the pole farm be on the property? And then,
I mean,
the
It is on the-
yeah,
the
that's
issue-
would be
because, yeah,
preferable, yeah.
our concern
So the
is
setback.
obviously is just, it's out of, to a certain extent, it's out of our hands.
to an
Well,
extent.
you guys have done enough projects, right?
Yeah, you know.
And you've done them both ways? So you've done similar projects?
We have-
Experience?
I haven't personally done an underground one, but we have done, and we shoot for and get the design team out there to try to ensure that there isn't a pole farm. We haven't been able to avoid it in every case, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, which is probably the situation. I'm sure the folks that put in the pole farms that you're talking about didn't want a
It's
pole
on a
farm either.
scenic road, in fact, one of them near us.
You know, I'm sure whoever built that didn't want that either. I don't think anybody does. But, so we always try to work with the design team to try to come up with plans that allow us to use existing infrastructure to the extent necessary, and then minimize the number of new poles that need to go in.
I don't think you can do underground for that type, I don't think that's a possibility.
Have you guys done underground?
I haven't
don't-
for the,
The
I've
first
never
one.
seen it for the
Oh, the
first,
cost
yeah,
It's
for
usually
the,
underground after that.
it's usually underground after, right.
If
That's
anything.
only, I've only ever seen that where you've got the first 3-4 poles, usually 4.
Is there any way to designate a large
Right, and those
area
are-
that's
and
our
those are
preference?
Those are specifically owned by
In the
utility.
site.
Well, they're gonna want to come up through the access road. That's their
Right.
easiest
Yeah.
point of connection to the
Right.
project pole,
The
to
location.
the,
Well, setback.
So, but can we kind of put something on the plan, cause they're gonna be looking at this plan, as our preference?
100 feet
Like
off the road.
somewhere, like a little box that
do you
says this
mean-
is our preference?
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
my assumption is that they're gonna want to minimize their work too. They're gonna wanna have the main
Well,
access
well,
into
we
here
don't-
to be,
Can it be
I mean,
on-
they're not gonna put it like way in, the back
Can it be
of
on
this
your
person's
site, though?
property.
Could it be on your site and then a single line, or the lines
That's,
over to the pole
No.
there?
The pole line is currently on,
They
it's
have
on
those
this
over
side,
by
so they
Boswell.
might,
Bang, whatever.
it's going, so this is interesting, cause it goes right across the road here. So it's in a point where it's traversing the road, so I don't know if they're gonna wanna
They're gonna have to
put it on the
jump
top
across.
end or the bottom end when they reconfigure.
Yeah,
I-
but
I
we're
just can't answer
trying
that
to
for you.
avoid not just one pole, we don't care about one pole, it's like the 5 poles.
Mm-hmm.
We want it to be somewhere else, not right at the front where the access is.
Mass Electric, National Grid decides that.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna put it, there will be a pole somewhere around the entry point, cause then they need to make a turn to get up to the project. So at some point, there's gonna
I
be a
don't know
pivot.
enough about it. I'm just saying, can we put something on the plan, even if it doesn't come true, to like where our preference is?
I'll put it, I mean, quite frankly, I mean, from our perspective, we don't have any issue with any, you know, a preference statement or anything like that, as long as it's not a condition that could invalidate the permit. You know what I mean? Because ultimately, it's not up to us. So, you know, if National Grid says, nope, we're gonna do, you know, we're putting 10 poles, I mean, I can't imagine
Never
that.
has happened.
Yeah, I've
Well,
never heard
so-
it happening,
Well, it
but it's
was-
just
So
out
just
of our,
to-
it's out of our
How many
hands.
Just to
on,
answer your, just as far as your preference,
Hartford Ave,
right?
yeah.
So if you're okay with this preference, what we have currently right now, which would be our preference too, is not necessarily needing an added pole, there's one right here.
Yeah,
And then, to get to your question, can we just get it on your site? I mean, if it comes off the street here, and then the rest of the poles can be on there.
Right, right,
And
that's
that's
the
going to
thought.
be the preference, that's,
Yeah.
that's the, you know, that's the path of least resistance for, at least the way we look at it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Not being
I'm agreeing
in the
with that.
utility company and the
Right.
designer. There's an existing pole, we're proposing that it connects there. We don't have the definitive say on that, that's the only problem.
and
That's-
if we could push
This
it
would come-
back off the road a little bit,
Yeah,
a
so it's
touch more
buffered.
than it's
But this is
usual.
existing.
Right,
No, not
I'm
that
just-
one,
Oh,
not that
sorry.
one. We're talking about the pole,
The first pole.
collection
I
of
guess
poles.
we're not, I'm not sure
Back,
if I'm
back.
saying
Oh,
the
you're
same
talking about
thing.
getting it here where it
Do the
starts
single,
connecting into the
leave
site.
that pole there and put
Like
the other
beyond
poles
the
back
house.
on
When
the
you,
site.
when you come out with
Yeah.
everything, then there's gonna be like 6 or 8 poles that,
Yep.
yeah. So is that gonna be
Looks
right
like,
on the road?
uh,
That's what,
stone
that's.
Put 'em- put 'em there.
That could be
Yeah,
right out
that's
front,
right.
but you don't have to say.
We're happy
stone.
to, we don't have the final say on that, but we're happy to pull it up here, that's,
Make it a
Yeah.
totem
I
pole.
don't have a,
Like
I mean,
Right.
that,
Oh, yeah, we
50
have
to us, it
further
doesn't
than
matter,
the-
it's more them, sometimes they don't wanna
Yeah,
go up
so
too
you could
far,
run
if they're
it
gonna
back.
do maintenance, they
Okay.
wanna be close to, so
Right.
it's,
Let National Grid know that.
You would probably need
we would
their
prefer
advice
that
on
the
what they
poles aren't
need
out
for-
on the road.
what they need to go forward on their end before you can even put that on your plan, probably.
I mean,
You know,
it
or
could
if
either
You
mean
pull
something
it
or
and
it could
put on
mean
a plan,
nothing.
Yeah.
They're gonna do it.
they won't even look at the plan.
Yeah, they're not even
Yeah.
gonna look at it, they're gonna do what they
Yeah.
want.
Yeah,
That's-
Well,
we don't
usually I
have-
have a plan that I bring
I don't-
with me to meet
have
the
the
design engineer.
Yeah, yeah, you may
I
want
mean,
then-
there
Yeah.
should, I mean.
Are you not gonna bring
I
this
don't think
plan
there's
with
any
you?
Absolutely.
issue, I don't think there's any issue, like, just pushing it back on this plan, because then it's on them to say, oh, we're gonna put it here.
Right, but at least you got it somewhere,
Right.
on
Yeah.
your site.
Yeah.
Like where you were saying, up along the line, you know, across.
I mean,
All right, we're gonna have to start moving
Good,
along.
all right,
here.
all right, all right, thank you.
All right, last question.
Yes, Jane Mosinski, 85 Oak Street. I'm curious about the 8-inch gap, critter gap. Where did the 8 inches come from? Is there opportunity to raise it a bit more for wildlife?
Geez, every
I believe
coyote
that
could probably get under that too.
Yeah, I believe that's,
Conservation, was it, was there an origin for that one?
Yeah, I mean, it was a comment that was raised during last week's meeting with the Conservation Commission, not necessarily specifying a dimension, but just talking about wildlife passage in general. So there's a balancing act between, you know, wildlife passage, but also safety and not wanting people just being
Human
able to just
passage.
slide right under the fence easily, you know, so. Yeah, that's what.
I believe we did that at the Bosma Farm. It's the last one we did, but that has,
Yeah.
that had a brook.
I mean,
Yeah,
typically.
but all your
Typically,
raccoons,
all
your
right.
skunks, your
Typically
minks,
see
they can
6
get under
to
there.
6 to 8 inches is what most conservation
Yeah.
commissions usually.
Fish or
kind
cats
of
can get under there, no
suggest
problem.
and
Yeah.
approve. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
the
8 inches.
issue
Groundhogs.
is that you
Yeah,
go
it
too
was
much higher and it
turtles.
becomes a
8
giant
inches.
nuisance and then people want to
Yeah.
come on.
That's right.
And
Or-
we-
See those box turtles?
Not a lot of people's record.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bill, wanna be on for our next meeting then, right?
I think they're already known.
Upcoming meetings, 3:10.
Well, they're on for the,
24.
shade tree at, 7:45. So I would say make the same motion for that
Same time.
on the 24th, March 24th. So we'll have jointly the shade tree and this.
And, yes, okay.
I'll make a motion to continue the public hearing for BWC Whitin Reservoir LLC to March 24th at 7:45 PM.
Second.
Motion made by Tracy, seconded by Aaron. Okay, no further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Okay, we'll see you on the 24th.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
Hey, anybody in the audience, we'll continue till the 24th at 7:45.
See you
Feel
then.
free to come back and join us.
What do you think, John?
I like it where it is a lot better.
Driveway, yeah, absolutely.
I won't see too many poles, so that's good.
Yeah, yeah, even better than,
Yeah, because I would have seen that pole farm.
yeah, well, me too.
Yeah.
What's that?
So I,
Yeah, I am concerned about this. You're not going
this the same as that. But I,
One that does the trail either, different way. Usually when I stop knowing how to spell is when I should stop working. Like remedy. I was like, how do you spell
but it could change.
Not for him.
Right, it could change, right.
The likelihood that there's gonna be.
I don't know what else can they grow besides
Grazing.
I mean, engineering process, and then, I don't know who she's gonna be able to get. It's harder and harder to.
Oh, yeah. Boy, someone wants to do that anymore.
All right.
That's work.
Okay, 8 o'clock.
All right.
Public hearing continued. JEH Real Estate Investment Company, LLC, application for site plan review, 40 Depot Street. Public hearing is now open.
Good evening.
Good evening, how you doing?
Good. For the record, Mike Dryden, Senior Project Manager, Allen Engineering, here once again for 40 Depot Street. We did receive some correspondence from Bill, and I think we've whittled down to just a couple of,
There's only two, I think.
two or three very small items. So that's great news.
That's great news.
One is, if you want me to just go through them.
Yeah.
One is relative to the operation and maintenance of the Caltech subsurface system. Bill asked that we add vacuuming and jetting provisions in the O&M. We can easily do that. He asked that we reference the construction phase O&M on the plan. We can easily do that. And then third and final is reference to, there are essentially two entrances on the site. We were calling one a construction entrance. Bill has suggested that we post a sign or create a trap rock construction entrance. We can easily do that. I would prefer the signage, just so that all construction vehicles use the wider access point. So that's what we're down to right now.
Do you have a specific detail for the sign?
No, the plans don't reflect
We
these
can put
three.
a condition
You're
in
okay.
the
Yeah, well-
decision, I don't have a problem with
Okay,
that.
we don't need it, we don't want it like this big. Orange or something.
I mean, the entrance we're talking about is probably 16 feet wide. I mean,
Okay.
Drive by it every day?
But you know, they're gonna use it if it's not posted, so, you know.
It's right here, you know?
yep, so again, we can easily address those final three comments.
What was the?
So I didn't have a chance to draft a decision, unfortunately, but what I would suggest is if you go through the waivers, Mike, and then the board can consider the waivers. Other than that, I think they addressed all my comments and concerns with regard to the regulations. But go through the waiver requests, then we can use standard conditions unless there's something special that the board wanted.
And I would condition those three items, right? That he just mentioned, the vacuuming and jetting, the reference to the O&M, and the post to sign at the construction entrance. Do you have a detail, what's the type of the Caltech that area is in?
What type of Caltech?
Yeah, you're looking at,
Let me show you. Do you have the plans in front of you?
Yeah.
Oh, you have it 11 by 7.
it's, okay, a 280 HD, and then heavy.
That is correct.
Yeah, I'm hearing.
I couldn't quite remember off the top of my
That's
head.
all right. I'm hearing some rumors about Coltex, so I just,
Is it,
Wanna
Really?
double check.
what's it made out of,
Things.
material?
We've been using the Caltech systems for a long, long time, and what are the rumors that you're hearing?
No, I don't wanna say.
What,
I just wanted to double
what's the
check
material
what,
of
which
the Caltech?
one it was.
It's basically a high-density poly product, that's what it's
Poly,
made.
not precast or anything?
No, no.
Fast system.
So how's that deal with any type of, with poly or whatever?
It's HD.
Yeah.
We don't expect vehicle traffic over this system, but it is HD.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Alright,
So the
waivers?
first-
Okay, waivers.
Yep.
As long as they provide them with drainage plan.
So there was a separate letter, I believe it's dated January 14th, that has not changed. Let's see, section 9.4.41. We actually talked about this, I think, at the first or second meeting. This is just altering the contents of the plan slightly. Your bylaw has very specific plans and information that they want to show. Our standards are very slightly different, but all the information required is on the plans. So that's all that means.
Number two, it's just a locus plan, so I think, yeah, 200, we know where it is.
Okay. One,
Yeah, it was just
two,
a scale of the locus
Just
plan.
1,
Bill
2,
had
3,
pointed that out.
right?
Technically didn't meet the regulations, so,
1, 2, 3.
yeah, actually, I have the earlier list, so,
I have a 20.
I just
February
added that
28th.
one, yep,
Yeah, February 28th.
yep.
That's fine.
So I had just added the one about the locus map, so there are 3 total.
Okay.
So the one that we haven't talked about yet is the contents of the impact assessment, and we have not provided a traffic study. Again, there were 7 units previously, there's 8 now.
Truck stuff.
Yeah, I have no problem with it.
Yeah.
Personally.
You don't worry about the traffic, I don't think
No.
it's, one extra unit, not gonna crazy big.
And we addressed Bill's comments on site distance, that was the one thing that he
That
asked
was
us
the
to
only
explore.
thing that-
Yeah, which
that
makes
was
perfect
pertinent.
sense. It was problematic,
All right.
certainly.
Bill, any comments on the waivers?
No, I think you're ready.
Anybody else?
No, I think we're good.
All right.
We're good.
On the audience?
Oh, yeah.
Public
Before-
hearing on the traffic, well, on the waiver request,
Yeah.
I'll take
No, no, no.
comments from the audience after.
No,
see if
I
there's
think
any
we're pretty
input.
much ready. I don't think anybody's.
Anybody? No? Okay.
We're okay with the
All
waivers?
right.
You want to ask?
Anyone else ask before we close?
I don't think.
Public hearing?
What's that?
Ask if there's any comments.
He's in
on it?
charge.
I did ask.
Okay.
Anybody in the audience have any comments, questions? I usually take them at the end of our discussion, so.
Oh, that's
Before
right.
I made the motion, I just wanted to double check.
All right. So, Bill, you're comfortable with?
Yep, we'll put those 3 conditions in and wrap it up.
Good deal. So you're comfortable with us closing the public hearing tonight?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we can close the public hearing, we can vote on the conditions, and Bill can move forward and we can.
Sign at the next meeting?
Well, I was gonna suggest if you're willing to, come in and sign it,
Come in, sign.
or we can wait till the next meeting. That's up to the board.
I have no problem with coming in and signing it.
Your
want
client
to?
needs it next week?
Okay.
He's quite anxious.
Okay.
Um,
No, no, no,
if-
he is
if-
To grant the waiver.
No,
As you
but
saw,
As
Bill.
requested.
The weather, working with him, so
It
that's
is
good.
showing.
I'm willing to come in and sign it.
Alright.
If you could do that, we would greatly
Yeah,
appreciate
just
it.
come in and sign it. I
You
just
got
wanna-
it. I like to close it up.
I'm told to
Make a motion to close the public hearing. There you go. All
I'd
right.
like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Made by Aaron, seconded by Tracy. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries. And a motion to.
So I'd like to make a motion, if I may, to grant the waivers, 1, 2, and 3, as indicated on the sheet. On February 28th, revised waiver request list, site plan review, as indicated.
Second.
Second.
Motion made by Aaron, seconded by Tracy. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? All right, now a motion to.
That was my first motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the site plan for REH Realty Investment Corp. Located at 40 Depot Street.
Second motion made by Les, seconded by
Jake?
Jake.
Yeah.
Okay. Any
It's a
further
new blood.
discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries. All right.
So I'll draft that, I'll
Good to
let you know when it's
Drop
ready
people.
to come in and sign.
Email
I'll
us.
give it to you for proof before I call.
Great,
them.
I would appreciate that, Bill, and I appreciate your time.
All right, thank you for coming in. Good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Wrap up the house.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to come in, sign?
We'll have to come in and sign it when Bill gets it all set.
He'll send us
It's all right.
he'll send us an email.
You know, you go downtown, get your stamps, and you can come back up.
Go right over to the grill, right after that.
All good.
All
Cool.
right.
What do we got next? Sleepy Hollow?
You could be at the grill at 4:15. Right, come here, go over there.
All right, Bill, you wanna take the discussion items?
Yeah, discussion item number one, Sleepy Hollow earth removal. There's really no update on that.
Huh.
It was a remnant from the last meeting,
Okay.
so that really has no business there.
They still owe you, as-bills or something, don't they, or did they?
They've given us as-bills, yes.
They have?
Yeah, they give us
Yep.
preliminary.
Yep. And they're proceeding with the road construction, so. Item two, request for an extension of an earth removal special permit, pine, sand, and stone. So with that, I'll turn it over to the gentleman.
Gentlemen?
This is the annual extension of debris.
Okay, just give your name, please.
Andy Leonard, Pyne. The annual extension of debris, kind of sandy pit area E.
This is Area E, so this is on George DeVries' property.
Yeah.
It's up against the Sutton Town
Yeah,
boundary
it is,
line.
yeah,
Okay. Andy brought the plan in today, and I looked at it, and, you know, my only comment is that, well, two comments. Since it's up against the town boundary line, the original permitted plan obviously holds the town boundary line elevation and then slopes down from that elevation for the excavation. They did subsequently get a permit in Sutton, so instead of having a mound between the two towns at that town boundary line,
Yeah.
they're excavating through, okay? Now technically, it's beyond the approved grades, okay? So I'm requesting that they provide an updated drawing showing what, no further than I think elevation 400, which is the base along that area.
Yeah, Bill and I spoke today, so that's what Pyne's been doing. They've been coincidentally, the town line is also DeVries in Bedoin and Sutton.
Yeah.
So they're two similar elevation, earth removal permits, so.
So it's gonna vary, but approximately elevation 400, I'm expecting them to knock down that side slope on the town boundary line,
Yeah.
so that they basically have a flat
Flat.
area.
And then we would provide you with a plan.
I need a plan that shows what you're doing, basically, so that we can compare it down the road.
Right. You're asking for an extension on the permit, when's it run out?
The permit runs out tomorrow, actually.
So we'll do it in 2 weeks?
Well, what Bill and I spoke about was we'll figure a way to meld the Sutton Bedoin earth removal
Yeah,
permit
I
to this
understand,
plan,
yeah.
just to show that
Yeah.
how they work together.
Right, so basically just extending the permit, is bonds, everything are in place still and all that?
They've given an extension, and, you know, I expect, even if we grant an extension, if there's fine tuning that that needs to get done, we'll work between the board and the applicant and get that done. Another technicality, granted, we do need something from the owner authorizing this too.
Yeah, that'd be
obviously.
DeVries, right?
Yeah, that would be George DeVries, yeah.
Yeah.
Authorizing,
The additional year, so
Oh,
showing
okay.
that
All right.
they're not in objection to
Extension.
the extension.
The permit runs out tomorrow, we'll need that by our next meeting
We will.
yeah,
then, or sooner.
that's no problem.
Okay.
I hate to ask, but what about the other, like town of Sutton giving permission to go within the 100 feet? Does that matter here?
As an abutter,
Yeah.
it would be Mary Bedoyan,
Oh, okay.
not the town of Sutton.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
how's that
Oh,
work
for
in-
some reason
Yeah. So
Well,
I can-
they
I can-
already
I can
had
have
that.
Mary come.
Now just get her signature.
No, they already, I'm sure we have it
Oh,
on
they
file
already-
from the
okay.
original excavation.
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
Alright. Yeah, I don't know why I was saying town of Sutton.
Yeah.
I was
All right.
confused, cause I was thinking the border. Okay, so we see this 400 here is the basin, and you're gonna take it all the way through to Sutton. And you just got that approved? Or,
That's an annual permit in Sutton,
oh,
Oh,
okay,
yeah,
but you were
that-
just.
January.
No.
Okay,
Okay.
Yeah, there's just I think it's January 2nd or late December.
This is a
Similar annual.
request for how long?
1 year.
1 year.
Okay.
Area E only.
So the motion would be to grant the extension subject to the conditions we discussed,
Sure.
Or area E,
with the minor modification for the grades.
and a
So
plan
moved.
showing, yeah,
Showing the
showing the,
plan.
and a signature from,
Can we get the plan like within the next 2 weeks?
Yeah, we'll figure out how to know.
a plan and a
Yeah.
signature from
Yeah.
Mr.
The owner.
DeVries.
We're doing it.
DeVries, the owner.
The owner.
All right. Somebody wanna make that motion?
I was gonna say so moved, but, I'll make a motion to grant the request for an extension for earth removal special permit, Pine Sand and Stone, ER 140 to 129, Area E, with the conditions that we receive authorization from the property owner, that an additional plan be supplied, and with existing grades,
To the satisfaction.
proposed
of
grades. What other
You know,
things?
and again, I wanted to make sure the surety's all in order.
And make sure the surety is all in order.
In place.
And
Technically.
technical
Yeah,
terms.
it's subject to review by our
And
town engineer. Good.
I think that's good.
What?
That's good.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's good.
that ends my motion.
All of that.
Motion made by Tracy, seconded by Mike.
There you go.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Okay.
The next item is earth removal project on Glen Street that Pyne is operating. We've been talking about as-built plans and surety for probably going on a month now, so.
I'm gonna recuse myself before Bill talks anymore.
Okay. Let the record show
And I'm leaving.
Tracy has recused herself. Are you sticking around? You're
Yeah.
leaving.
Yeah.
Tracy,
The iPads are pretty good, except for that one big file. It kept crashing, so
Are we
on both of
talking-
them.
are we
Did you
not-
ever open that red line plan?
I'm not sure if it was the same one you were talking about, but I opened up something that was redlined.
Are we not gonna speak of the lots?
are you?
So how do you feel about the
No,
iPads?
so
Are
you-
we
you-
continuing
I like
this?
them a lot. I would prefer that. I would just want one agenda piece of paper to make marks. And then I
Okay.
like the rest of them.
Okay.
Right, so you're recusing yourself and you're leaving for the evening.
Yes.
Okay, let the record show that Tracy is recusing herself and.
You gentlemen, have a good night.
Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you.
All right, go ahead, Bill.
All right, so basically, as I mentioned, we've been asking for as-bills for about a month now, and we did get a surety update, which I'll talk to the applicant about as we move forward, but the other aspect of this that's a little different, it's my understanding that the property in question has been sold, there is a new owner on the property, so granting an extension to this might be problematic. This permit expires May 8th of this year, so if you want to get technical, we should have the project 100% complete by that date.
Yep.
And, you know, with it quickly approaching, you know, if the plans don't show, if they are problematic, we don't have a lot of time to react.
That's the new house there.
That's a new house,
That's already
yeah.
in there.
And it's
So-
been sold, and you say they closed, they haven't closed yet.
They've closed, they're in.
Okay, so what's left
CO.
to be done?
I don't know, I've not been requested for an inspection, I've not gotten any as-built plans, things that we've been talking about for the past month.
Yeah, no, I thought I saw an initial plan or.
What recourse do we have at this point if it's been sold? I mean,
Well,
does that
I thought the
extend?
Q before since they were done.
I did ask town council that question, and we do have the ability to get out there and do things.
Right, we have
It's a
to
little
show it.
more difficult, and that's one of the things, you know, as a result of this project, one of the things I'm recommending to the board is that we carry a condition that properties not be, building permits not be
Conveyed.
issued
Yep.
until the site is restored.
Right. So the
Okay,
horse is
until
out
we
of the
get our
barn at this
as-bills
point.
and everything else.
Down to the bar.
The horse is down the road at this point.
Well,
It's
not
already-
necessarily. Again, I want to point out the fact that town council says, yes, it is possible to utilize surety on the site if we need to. It's not a smooth process, but we can. It's not ideal,
No,
clearly.
it's not ideal.
Clearly.
Is there a reason we're not getting the as-built set?
Where, I don't,
What's holding up?
Well, I think everybody's, premature with the weather. It's so warm, everybody's thinking we're getting going. Ultimately, we were waiting for grass growth and such and whatnot. I mean, it's there, it's done, we're done. We just
The
wanna
house is
make
done.
sure everything's,
So-
I's are dotted, T's are crossed, and I expect an as-built any day. I
Yeah,
apologize
it
for
puts
not
the board on
having
a
it
little bit on our heels. you
yeah,
know,
we're,
kind of,
we're
yeah.
bugging the engineer
It's,
who,
it's not unnoticed. I mean,
If he
we're
triages
trying.
like he should, you should be up to that right now. This should be get done, you know.
yeah, he-
Right. All right, so you gotta get Bill out there for the inspections.
yeah.
We need the as-built.
You need grass to grow first, right?
Well, it's gonna all have to be happening at the same
It's-
time.
Right, I mean,
The weather's working
we're
with you.
there, it's just, we're not, not officially, we do need to get Bill out.
So how would this have been if this had been a normal winter? And we'd be a month out.
Everything, no,
Yeah.
everything
Yeah.
was seeded in the fall.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you would to see something come up.
But whether it's, we have grass or not, we still need the plans. I mean, the plans, elevations should be.
No, we're on the
Yeah.
engineer.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're-
All right.
We should have had it earlier this week.
Yeah,
late
yeah,
last
I mean, we've been asking for it for a while
No,
now.
Yeah, we don't wanna have to hide in town. you know,
Can I ask who the engineer is?
The gentleman that was just here.
so. Alan, it's Alan Engineering.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
not Mike specifically.
Well, I'm glad you had a chance to talk to him.
That's why you didn't stick around.
That's why I went.
He's still in the parking lot.
That's why I went out.
Couldn't get out of here fast enough. All right, get on
Yeah,
them.
well,
I mean, we're gonna have to take some kind of action here if we don't.
If I don't get something by the next meeting, I wanna hit the ground running
Yeah.
with what we need to do
Yeah.
Closing it up.
with
yeah.
town council.
Is there some sort of lien or surety? I mean, what
No,
do you?
we have,
Yeah.
we've posted, re-upped the surety.
Okay, all right, all right.
Because
I
it's a
guess I don't
unique
know.
situation where we went in with an earth.
You took over.
It got sold,
Yeah.
it got built while we were.
Well, the fastest builder around, you know,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah, we're gonna
All right. We'll
make
get it.
conditions that, to assure that doesn't happen again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But,
we'd prefer it.
yeah, I know you do, I know you do, but you
All right,
just.
we'll get it.
All right, so by the next meeting, please?
Thank you.
Well, if we have to draw it up.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
There's no houses going in secret.
Anything else,
tomorrow,
Bill,
are
while they're in?
What's that?
Anything else? while
No,
they're
no,
in?
no, no.
Okay. All right.
I think you could issue
Warrant articles.
We need to have a condition in our permit.
No, but I didn't think that was
Yeah.
capable. Sorry, Bill.
Ernie, say what?
All right, next item?
Item 4, warrant articles, zoning bylaw amendment for non-conforming lots. This is something we discussed at the last meeting. In your packet, there should be, I don't know if it's in here. Okay, we have an email, and, I don't see the town council email, of course. On the iPads, we have town council emails. Okay.
Bring him up.
So, yeah, if you don't mind, Jake, thanks. I'll read this to you. Okay. So I asked town council to give us their feedback on the proposal that came forward at the last meeting. He said, Bill, these changes are pretty sweeping. Most of them could be made legal if that is what the town meeting wants, but the changes would provide a substantial amount of new rights to build on non-conforming properties. While the town is free to provide additional rights to non-conforming properties, these go well beyond what most towns provide. Anyway, I have added comments on many of the proposed changes. Additionally, it appears that some of the changes attempted to cut out the building commissioner's role, but that would be inconsistent with law. I'm happy to work with whatever the planning board and the select board decide in advance. So what I'll do is I'll read his comments to you, if that's okay?
Yep.
Okay, so this is on the first section. So if you look at this email, this might give you kind of something to go by.
It's the final summary.
This is the warrant article that I submitted to the Board of Selectmen, which incorporates the proposed edits, okay? Yep.
Is that extra one? Or is that-
Yeah, you can have it. Okay, so Jay commented on section 1, General comment, this is a very generous provision that would open up a lot of presently unbuildable or even already built-on properties to construct residential, multifamily, or commercial buildings. The law already provides a fairly substantial protection for vacant pre-existing non-conforming lots that have 50 feet of frontage. The town is free to liberalize that frontage requirement, but this would move the needle substantially beyond the current rights. His next comment,
So we still talking about 3.1?
this is 1.3.
1.3?
Okay. Lot or parcel, it says it doesn't specify vacant lots, but probably should, meaning,
Okay.
so it says a lot or parcel having an area or frontage of lesser amount than is required in the table of dimensional requirements. So that comment was on lot or parcel. This next one is on lesser amount. This removes the minimum 50 feet requirement that would allow 0 frontage lots to be built on. That would likely open up a variety of landlocked parcels.
That's not the intent.
Okay.
We have to be more clear about that.
And then table of dimensional requirements may be used at any time in the future. So he highlighted used, and he said, this opens it up for any use, whereas the separate lot exception, I guess, and most other exceptions only apply to single or two-family houses. Opening this up to a commercial or multifamily uses could have some unintended consequences.
Because you already covered the underlying zoning for those areas. So if the areas are a zoned for single-family use only, which
No
is what it
commercial,
is,
no commercial.
it doesn't allow multifamilies in RA zone areas.
I think the only intent here, and.
But that's not what it says, and this is coming from town council.
Right,
Well,
yeah,
then
that's
this-
not what it
this-
says, that's, right,
Well,
right.
we need to get it right, but the intent of what we've talked, I mean, just recently talked about, is that the underlying zoning of the 2-acre zone, the 25 and 50 foot, will be maintained without exception, And that a person who might have a 12,000 square foot lot, who has the ability to add up to 25 feet from the side yard, could do that without going to the zoning board of appeals. We're not looking for a 12-foot setback, we're not looking for 10, 50 in the front, it's 25 in the rear, it's 25 in the sides, just like a normal 2-acre zoning. And that's all we're talking about, creates no new lots, it does nothing other.
That's not what the
That's not what
proposal
town council
was.
is saying.
That's not what the
Well,
proposal
we need to
was.
change
And
that.
that's not what's proposed,
Yeah.
right.
So 1.3 was in our initial bylaws. Back in the
I don't have it, so I don't.
No, it's,
Yeah.
it's right here. It's the top one right there. It's the first one. So section 1.3 was in our bylaws back in the day. And that allowed the ability for people's rights with those non-conforming lots.
Before 1970.
Before
Right,
1970.
but we
So
had
far
master
back.
planning, and we had a rewrite of the entire zoning bylaws, and it came out.
I'm not being hardcore on this, I just thought it was I think it's a great idea, only because, from zoning standpoint, is that if you have a lot that's, instead of 2 acres, it's 1.2 acres, and most towns, it's 12,000 feet or 15,000, and they go to 12, and we're talking about 25, and you're still a ton away from your neighbor, and I don't think it's punitive to any of the butters, which before I did, when we were going to the 12 and the 10 and all that crazy stuff, right? That if you meet the current zoning, if you meet the current setbacks per the schedule, that by right you could build to up to 25-foot zone, area. If you have a 5,000 square foot lot, you're not building anything.
Sure.
So
I agree.
if you can't make that 25, too bad.
That's not what this proposal says.
Okay, then the proposal's wrong, because that's not what I'm in agreement with. Mine is simple, it's any lot that's in the 2-acre zoning, that's there already, and there's a house there already, can you go to the 25-foot without having to go to zoning and ask for relief on the frontage, or the area of the lot? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I.
Pretty simple, but if that's not written that way, I don't want that.
No.
So it's shame on me for not reviewing that. I didn't get it, I haven't had a chance to do that, and, so mine's just simple. Underlying zoning, you meet it, you can use it.
But if you're already a lot that was cut off in 1960, right, just a standard lot that was formed,
Yeah.
right? The problem is where it says whether you're conform, you're not gonna be conforming if you
Right.
created in 1960.
Right.
So, and if you don't have a structure on it, then what can you do with it? But you're still being taxed as a buildable lot.
Well, no, I'm not, this has to be,
If you're an acre and a half with 100 feet of frontage.
no,
Very-
this, my
I mean,
suggestion is this creates no new lots. You still have to do an A&R. You still have to go through that. This will create,
an A&R I'm gonna subdivide. But you won't-
but if the underlining zoning's 2 acres, what am I missing here?
if you're 1.5 acres.
Yes.
And you're 100 feet of frontage, you'll never meet 2-acre requirement.
Correct.
You'll never meet the frontage requirement.
Well, that's all right. I'm not concerned about them meeting it, if it's not already established.
Okay.
I'm talking about,
And we're
you
talking
go-
about
we
established
started with
lots.
Lakeside, so here's my thought. I thought, that's a problem, going to 10 feet, 12 feet. These people are compressed into nothing, right?
Yeah.
And people have rights to stay away from another neighbor. So all I'm saying is, if somehow you have a 12,000 square foot lot or a 7,000, and you can meet the current zone 25-foot setback or 50, we can waive the frontage length requirement and the area requirement, as long as you meet the current underlying zoning.
Right.
That's it. No new lots are created from it. If
Yeah,
you're
you
short on
can't-
front.
you can't- yeah, you-
How can you waive?
What am I
I'm
missing?
confused.
You're not gonna create
What
a
I'm
waiver.
saying.
Who's waiving it? I'm not following that.
Well, they
part.
would go to zoning board of appeals, don't they?
Well, that's what they do
No,
now.
that's what they do now.
Well, I'm trying to eliminate that step.
Mhm.
If they meet the,
But who determines that, Aaron? Who makes that determination,
homeowner.
whether it's significant or
the
not?
engineer, if it's 25 feet, 50 feet, you make it, you can do it by
The
right.
engineer is gonna say everyone is acceptable.
What do you mean? Of course they are. If it,
I
no,
think
on
so.
those,
Right,
what am
why
I?
would you want that in
This is
town?
what I do for a living.
Why would you
so-
want that in town? What's wrong? If it's not broke, don't fix it. I've seen this
No, I'm
whole
not
thing as
disagreeing
being
with what you're
nothing but
saying
a
either.
complication
Right.
and a waste of our time right now. In this bylaw that's proposed right now
Well, that's
is
completely wrong.
ridiculous.
That's ridiculous.
And it's on a warrant at town meeting right now.
Well, that's gonna get,
And
it's
so
not
we
gonna get-
gotta vote tonight to
Well,
take
this
it
is
off.
where it stands.
I would vote to
I
take
did
that
submit
off,
what
yeah.
was discussed at the last meeting to the Board of Selectmen, so as a placeholder in case you guys wanted to move forward. If you don't, you need to tell me so I can tell them to withdraw.
That's too convoluted. That is not what my intent personally.
Right, that's not
was.
at all what you're talking
Right,
about.
right,
And
mine
not-
is
Not that I'm in
much
agreement with you
simpler.
talking about.
Do you want me to
but
continue going through town
There's no
council's
way I'll vote
comments?
for that.
No, no, I mean, it's, if that's what that is written as, I would not want to address that.
Yeah,
So
we
if
need
you
to
already-
address
I
that.
think,
If you-
I think
if
we
you
need a
get
lot
right
more time,
until-
we need a lot more
yeah.
time to hash this out. We keep coming up with new ideas every week, and all of a sudden we wanna put it on the town warrant. It doesn't belong on the town warrant at this time.
This is not crafted of the concept that I was totally against the other one.
Yeah.
The 10, 12 feet crazy stuff. We did a study for that, we spent a little time, and I was not in favor of that. I'm not in favor of an overlay, right?
Yep.
All I was just saying that if it's an existing lot, and you've got a house on that lot, it cannot create new lots. It's just saying that you can build, if you can make the 25-foot setback rear yard, or 50 foot from the front, go at it, go for it. Before, that's all I was saying.
Yeah, I know that's all you're saying, but
That's
that's
not
saying,
it. That's not it.
that's what's being presented.
So
to-
Ernie, I'm not improving that.
Okay.
Yeah, so 1.3 was the initial rights that people had in the town when that was created, which basically opened the, basically said if your lot was already pre-existing, created prior to zoning, then you implement it.
Well, leave that, I'm not trying to, I don't want to address it, it's already there.
No, it's not there.
You said it was,
It was taken out. It was taken out, so that was people's rights, your right of use.
well, is there such a thing as the Ferkler lots? I mean, is that something in this town?
Bless you, what?
Unless you Ferkler.
No.
The Ferkler lot is a lot that was concepted before certain 1964 or something like that, will always be a building lot regardless of the zoning that has come since then, so.
That's not a
I
place.
don't know about that.
It's not a place.
Ferkler is like a lawsuit, it's,
Okay.
yeah. All right, well, that's not written away, so I don't support that.
Yeah, I think if you're building something on a lot, you need a building inspector. Why have a building inspector if you're gonna let people just willy-nilly
Well,
throw buildings
he's
up?
gonna look at the
Well, he
plans
determined-
anyway.
yeah.
He
And
gets
they wanna strike the building inspector out of it.
No,
on that
because
plan.
he's still.
No, there can
he's
never
still
instruct.
reference-
No,
No,
that's-
he's
no,
still
This
referencing.
document, that,
In
yeah.
terms of this,
Whether he goes to
whether or not it
ZBA.
meets zoning.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Right,
So, let's assume this went in and it met zoning. He'd still have the ability,
Yeah,
per state law,
correct.
to review it.
Yeah.
So striking it is inconsistent with state law.
Right, so all I was saying is, if they can do the 25, 25, 25, and 50.
No, I understand.
Why does he can just look at it for building permit and a site plan.
Just like he does every other building.
If you
Right,
guys,
but not go to ZBA.
Aaron, if you wanna draw something up like that, we can.
Later, if
Right.
this is incorrect.
That's not
That's
what
it,
they.
that's not
they
what we
Right,
want.
proposed.
right.
So,
Okay.
I need the board to give me direction on whether or not I'm pulling that from the selectmen.
I vote to pull it off.
Me
Pull
too.
pull it off if it's not written the way we were intending. So,
Okay.
okay.
That's too- Just the fact that there's so much confusion over it indicates that we shouldn't send
do-
something to town meeting, a warrant, put it on a warrant or something.
Do you understand what I was trying to say?
I understand
As
what
simple
you're
as
trying
that
to
is?
say. Yes, I understand
Well,
what you're
yeah,
trying
but
to
I'm
say.
trying to reconcile that with this, which just
It
says.
doesn't-
But don't reconcile.
Add this to the section something something, delete this sentence, you don't know what the hell's being proposed from this document.
This would only address the, what is it, the RA, what is our, the 2 acre?
RA.
RA, that's all it's addressing, that zoning. If it's the current zoning in your area and you have a small lot, you could build to the current zoning setbacks and no further. If you wanna go to ZBA and go further, go ahead, but by right, you could do the 25-foot 4.
So where is it by right in our bylaws?
It isn't there yet.
Right. We'll have that
That's the
discussion at
point.
another meeting.
Another time, yeah.
Presently, that's the article being presented at
Let's
town
pull
meeting.
it.
We voted to take it off, tell the selectmen we don't want this article on there,
Yeah.
on the warrant, and we can bring this all up and keep discussing it
Yeah.
and come up with something that we all agree on.
Simple.
If we can do
Simple
that.
and
really needs to be
easily
simple.
readable.
It's getting too
That's
out
what,
of hand.
that's what I'm saying, but simple, like I just said, you know.
So by consensus,
Take it off.
take it
I'll
off.
say you, Jay.
Thank you.
Take it off.
All right, next item.
Scrap it.
Scrap it. Okay, scrapple.
Okay, next is the solar bylaw. Town council had drafted what's in your packet.
I like this.
And basically, it does what we talked about. We held 30 kilowatts for solar arrays as the differential between residentially scaled and commercially scaled.
Yep.
And then we basically are simply, so we gave a definition for each of those. Then we modified the use table to add each of those. The residentially scaled, that's 30 kilowatts or less, is allowed in all districts by right with site plan review. Commercially scaled is 30 kilowatts, more than 30 kilowatts, and it's allowed in all zoning districts by special permit with the planning board.
So can I ask you about the site plan?
And we're adopting regulations.
Yeah, that was
Can I
kind of
ask
weird.
The municipal use, so the one thing, are you adding municipal use down here, and that you're gonna allow it?
Oh,
Municipal use?
we could modify it to add
So I
that.
think that's what's needed, because in any of our zoning areas, you have a municipal use. So you have to have municipal use
Yeah, right, yes.
across all your areas, and then I would prefer that, since we're talking about municipal use, that it would be a yes across each one of those. Because the municipal use would be,
That's different.
yeah.
Can I can I ask a silly question, because I know this board historically has appreciated the fact that the town had to go through the same process as
Applicants.
others.
Okay. Well-
So,
Maybe, so if the town ever considers leasing ground that the town owns to XYZ Solar.
right, so
So
should
they
we
should
go
go
through the
through-
same process
Yeah,
that?
so that they should go through the
Yeah,
planning
Yes,
board
we
then.
should.
Yeah. Yep.
So
planning
we
board
don't
versus
need
yes.
to edit it then?
What did you?
No, but you have to have municipal use in here. That they're gonna follow that, any underlying zoning area, the municipal use for the solar.
Well, it's covered under that table, right?
You're not calling it out, you're
Doesn't
calling out
say
the
it.
zoning
It
areas.
doesn't, it doesn't need to be called out, because it's either this or it's this. So regardless of if it's municipal
So
or
it's
private.
gonna be in one of the, yeah,
Does Matt
right,
want
it's gonna
that?
be in one of the
Does Matt
zoning
want it?
districts, yeah.
Cause I talked to Matt.
I think
about
Matt probably wanted the exemption, I would think.
it. Oh, no, he wanted it. You wanna tie off with Matt on that, cause they briefly had a discussion, I'm not sure if you mentioned exempt or one year.
He didn't mention it to me.
Okay.
Exemption on, of
Municipal
the
use.
town going through the process?
So, again, municipal use, the only way I'm reading or interpreting what you're saying is foregoing the permit, special permit process for a large array, just because it's a municipal use.
Yeah.
And if that's the intent, then I can have that modified.
Yeah.
So,
And I'm not sure if Matt wanted exempt, to your point, or if he wanted something different. I agree with you, I think that's the way
I
I
think-
envision it,
yeah.
but I don't know if he was meaning that this would be exempt.
I know he mentioned it to me when we were talking about moratoriums.
Correct.
He wanted the municipal exemption.
That was the one, okay.
This,
Okay.
Yeah, I don't see why why the town would be exempt from going through our
right,
No.
it should.
bylaws, yeah.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, it was on a moratorium, that's what it was.
Under
On
the,
the moratorium.
under the
He wanted-
residentially
yeah.
scaled, up to 30 kilowatts, it's very clear, it says land-based, ground-based, right? It's not saying roof mounted.
Correct.
Right, so if you fit them on your roofs, you don't need to come before for site plan review.
Correct. Good.
Okay, but
Which
should
is
it,
changing.
should it say, what's the difference between land and ground? I guess it's the same thing. People usually say ground.
You could modify that and just, you know,
Yeah, that's fine.
the person that drafted this does solar. Okay, that's all I can tell you.
No,
They're
just-
still doing.
We just say ground.
Yeah,
mounted.
yeah.
If anyone has an extra copy, there's some people here that stuck around.
I'll give them this. Maybe else one?
Solar collection? I never saw, they're still doing the hot water collection? I don't even know what that is, I thought that was 1980s.
Okay, so this is what we're gonna present at
This is
town
good.
meeting?
It's good.
Yep, so I've given that to the Board of Selectmen to put on the warrant.
It's simple though, huh?
Number 6, subdivision. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, Brian,
So,
name and address, please.
yeah, Brian Levesque, Kearney Road. So I'm a little confused on this. So, what you're saying now is there's two classifications, which is great. Residential and commercial, 30 kilowatts is the cutoff. Can you explain to me again real quick? So on residential, all you need to do is get a special permit?
That's if
Right,
it's
the
on
smaller
ground.
scale.
If it's on the ground.
Right, so if it's on your roof, you're entitled to
Yeah,
do that.
right.
Yeah.
If it's a ground mount
Okay.
system in a residential scale,
Alright.
30 kilowatts or less,
Mm-hmm.
then you go through a site plan review process, just like we have been doing with these various.
So
site
you're not
plan
2
review
feet
in
off your
front of the
neighbor.
planning board.
Correct,
Okay,
which is a by right process,
okay.
okay?
So,
The
Site plan
other,
review for residential.
larger than 30 kilowatts,
Yeah.
is a special permit process, which
You're
can be
doing something
denied.
much larger than a 10 kilowatt.
So, may I ask a question?
Name and address, please.
Okay,
Let me-
go ahead.
let me finish. So, essentially, everything comes in front of the planning board commercially right now anyway, right?
Yes.
So with this,
Well,
there's-
hold on. If it triggers the bylaw, and what, you know, we have 3 triggers for site plan review. Percent of land area disturbance, change in use of a certain size, and number of parking spaces. So those 3 triggers one of those needs to be met in order to come here. If none of those are met, then they can pull a building permit and they're off and running.
so, I guess, all right, I get that. So you are adding a little bit more leeway for the board to kind of regulate.
Regulate, so after this, if this gets adopted at town meeting, the intent is that the board will adopt more specific regulations,
Okay.
okay, that spell out, you know, drainage requirements or clearing or screening requirements that might be consistent with the site plan review, but site plan review really didn't anticipate solar arrays. That was more for like a 7-Eleven or something like that. So the regulations would be specific to solar.
So this is basically the first step, and then from there you put more regulation. And what would the, I mean, maybe you don't know yet, what would the intent of the board be? I know you guys all know I've asked for a moratorium, until we figure this out. Do you guys have an idea of what you would be thinking? I'm more talking, I don't care about the residentials, I'm more talking about the commercially scaled projects in residential RA areas
So the other
specifically.
bylaws that we saw, the other towns, they had 150 kilowatts was considered residential and under. And if you look at the scale of the barn I have, the garage, that's 8.5 kilowatts. So you're talking about something 3 times the size of that when you get to 30.
Right.
So if you do it on a roof, nobody cares, I guess, and,
I'm not talking residential, I'm talking specifically commercially scaled.
well, they still have to come to us,
So
right?
what
They
is
don't
the
have
intent of the board for these commercially scaled projects in residential areas moving
Subject to
forward.
site plan review.
Yeah, site plan review,
It's
just like what we're doing now.
Doing now,
Yeah.
and you've had projects that have got approved, that people have come in and.
Well, those are in the megawatts, those are the ones that we've been looking at,
Well,
but
these could be in the megawatts too. 'cause it's
absolutely,
anything
but
over
it gives a
30.
threshold, that's all we're doing, we're trying to do a cutoff, yeah,
I'm saying specifically, it might not be clear.
no.
I'm-
Or to me, I'm not
I'm
handling it
confused.
well, go ahead.
I'm specifically asking about the commercial. So, commercial, okay, so the project that was here, that
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
talking about now, the project up by
Yeah,
Wallam
Wallam
Lake.
Lake, yeah.
Those are commercial projects.
Yes.
There's still no difference in the process from what I'm seeing unless, that's what I'm asking.
Again, the
What is your
regulation-
intent?
We're calling 30, over 30 is commercial.
Yeah, hold on,
That's
hold on.
building.
I know what you're asking.
But it doesn't make any
The
difference.
regulations are
he's
really gonna
pointing out.
define what the process is, okay? So the site distance, for example. We're gonna be more thoughtful and considerate about turning radiuses, or maybe we'll talk about these pole farms, or,
Right.
you know, now, this hasn't been developed, it's stuff we're gonna have to research and get to the point where we actually adopt regulations. But it's not a process that we're gonna have to go to town meeting, it's gonna be a hearing process here that, you know, we'll put notice out and people can participate and have feedback, and
we're
I
not
imagine it's not gonna be a once and done thing, we're gonna have a process.
And we're not likely asking for a pilot program for 30 and under, right? Is that, I mean,
I don't know.
I mean.
I have no idea.
That's, if it's in a residential and it's for somebody's home and they've got a big, and they're doing some electrical work, you know, they're using,
If they wanna go, who's gonna say no?
right.
Right? I
Right.
mean,
So you mentioned once and done, this is the first I think I've seen this article.
Correct.
Concern here to see this is, so your garage,
Yeah.
you have solar,
Yeah,
would be considered a residential.
but not ground, but I'm not ground mounted. That's the difference. When
Your-
you're concepting ground mounted, you're doing something
Correct.
probably
Including
larger than what
other-
you're allowed to do.
Other solar.
I mean, on your roof.
Other solar collection,
Mhm.
okay? So whether it's ground mounted or non-ground mounted, it's including other,
it-
okay? So my concern is that in a residential area, instead of just using standard, like, building offsets, right? You're gonna build something, if you're gonna build a garage, so you're gonna build a solar array on your property, you'd have offsets off the property line.
If you put it on a building, because of the building
even
has
if- Or even
setbacks.
even if it's ground mounted, you're still building some structure, so you'd have to.
Is that structure subject to?
no,
any-
that's Dover amendment, I think, cause it's allowed by
But-
right, it's no different than the folks we have here tonight. Any distance they have from the property line in setback
Well-
is voluntarily.
But if they do a
frankly.
ground array, it'll give us a purview to look at that and say, look at, you know, this house is only 10 feet away
Correct.
from the solar.
That's exactly the
And we
point.
wanna have, I mean, I think that's a fair thing for everybody.
Let's just take all the semantics out of it and just talk, if you have a structure there and you put some stuff on your roof, I don't think anybody's really gonna care. You're not increasing stormwater, you're not increasing.
Right.
Maybe it might not look great for your neighbor, but that's really the extent of it.
But you're talking less than 30 kilowatts, so you're talking about McCollum's. McCollum's would have to come before site plan and review.
What's McCollum's?
I don't know what that is.
Mary Beth's got
Yeah.
those.
I have no
Both of
idea.
those.
Yeah, behind
Okay,
her house,
okay.
she's got a.
The one on South Street. would
That-
have-
She has,
No, no, no.
what are we talking about?
Her-
With
hers.
hers? The ground mounted behind her house?
Yeah.
That's like the size of my garage, the barn.
Correct, but
It's not that big.
It
But
has
some
to
of
go
these
through
may
site
sail
plan
through.
review.
Yeah,
Right.
that's right.
And why
It would
not?
have to go through site plan review
Yep.
and the engineering expense related to that,
Right, well, it's,
as well as yours.
mine would not, because it's on a building.
It's an other. It's not on your primary, it's not on a residence.
No,
It's
no,
not
what's,
on a
what's,
house.
where's it say other on this that we're worried about now?
Other, solar. So that, it's,
No,
it's not
that's-
on a primary. It's
That's
on
not
a
what they're talking about.
structure.
It's other types of photovoltaic, there are different types, it's saying other solar collector.
Oh, which is, if it's not attached to your residency, okay, so you're collecting it
So
off of
we
a
should probably
detached-
strike that then, right? Is that what you're talking about?
No,
We strike that
I'm just
line.
saying that, do you want, if someone builds their solar array that's already offset, I mean, being with the setbacks, why would you make them go through site plan review?
Well,
The
then,
the expense of site plan review.
so, because if you're doing 30 kilowatts, right, and you could be doing 20, and you could be doing
You could-
10 on the
you could
ground
do
like
not-
Mary
you could do-
Beth.
you could do 8.
Right?
You could do 8,
Right.
you could do 8,
Right.
so you're gonna still go through site plan review.
That's
So
another
this is more,
issue.
this is
Maybe
more
we
regulation.
should, well, maybe we should have a cutoff, maybe it's up to 10, which, first of all, 10 is allowed in single phase, right? That's all you're gonna get in single phase anyway.
I don't know.
3-phase allows you to go because it can handle a greater capacity. So that takes care of itself. 10, the single phase, which is most of the town, is what I couldn't exceed 10. So I have 8.4 or something like that. So maybe we need another category.
But that's dependent on the usage of your current operation.
You got-
right? So
you can't do more than 10. It's not
that's
allowed.
quite a few.
You cannot do more than 10 in a single phase, where you have single phase
You
on a
gotta- you
country
gotta drive
road.
around town.
You cannot do more than 10.
You could drive around town.
Why are we gonna talk about this?
There's one on South Street.
Ernie.
That's more than that.
So,
Yeah, but they may have 3 phases in the street.
I guess I got this snowballed in the wrong
Yeah, it's on
direction.
garage.
That's not what I was trying to
This
get
is
at.
all about land-based.
I know.
I think this discussion was all triggered by when I asked for you guys to consider doing a moratorium.
Yes.
It sounds like there's plenty of discussion, again, that needs to happen before some legislation goes through. So, why are we opposed as a planning board to just saying, let's pump the brakes and do a moratorium?
We talked about
Well, number one, it's too late to do a moratorium. Warrants were due last Friday.
Is that moratorium in anything below 20? I mean,
What
above 20?
I was asking was for a moratorium.
So we
until
stop the
you
10
guys
to
figure
four-
this
until
out,
you get a
because
bylaw in
At the
place.
rate.
Yeah,
at
but
the
you don't
rate
wanna
this
stop
goes
somebody from putting it on their roof. I mean, you can't just stop
No.
that. What are we talking about?
I don't really care. I wanna stop it until we get the right verbiage in there for all the townspeople. You keep doing these, approving
I mean,
these big
you're talking-
industrial things, residential
I'm
areas.
not
It's-
disagreeing with you, but I am disagreeing
You know
to a
what I'm saying?
degree. you know.
That's fine, and you're entitled to disagree. I'm just
Yeah.
asking the board to do something.
Everybody
And I
has a
know-
right
I
to
know-
put solar by right on their roof. And all I'm saying is that the
That's fine.
ground-mounted scenario is one that maybe we can trigger,
That's fine,
which
but-
creates a moratorium. If people don't wanna come before the board, that's its own moratorium, maybe. I don't know. Yeah.
And then maybe a
Moratorium
year
is
from
not
now, you
permanent.
say, hey, you're getting complaints because all these people are being affected, and then you
Right,
go to town meeting.
so
and
now
fix
this is a stopgap. We have this written.
We've never gone back
And
to
it
town
made-
meeting to fix something that.
Which,
Well-
quite honestly, that's what they were alluding to in the previous discussion earlier tonight.
Right, so
Because
this-
they sat here for the discussion last meeting,
So-
and they're afraid that something will happen and they'll get, their permit won't go through and then they'll be stuck.
No.
I believe that's what they were
Who was
alluding
that?
to.
No, because two reasons why. Let me clarify.
We're
Just-
gonna,
Yeah, we
Well,
should.
we're gonna move
You can't.
on.
Focus on this.
They've already
We're
submitted
gonna
it as an
accept
applicant.
this and have it
Oh,
kept
because-
on the warrant, or we're
Well,
gonna
his-
pass on it.
Here's the concern with it is that anybody who's built an 8 kilowatt system, if they want, don't have a garage to put it on, you put it in their backyard.
Or a house, or
You're gonna
whatever.
make them go through site plan review and the expense related to that. Versus, again, if you go back to what Aaron said about if you just say, okay, well, you're gonna put it within this footprint with offsets, then that's probably the better way to go. But to make them go through a site plan review, I mean, that's more challenging for any homeowner that wants to put in 8 terabyte or 8 kilowatt system.
So could you have a different category that's?
Well, that's another thing,
I
is
mean-
saying that anything below 10 and below would take care of 80% of the town, right then and there, because of the single phase.
My intent of asking for the moratorium was not for these residentially scaled projects. It was for the big commercial industrial projects that are going in.
So why, there's a
That was
point,
my
why are
intent.
we even having 30 and under come have anything to do with us? Maybe that's-
So, can I offer something?
Please.
We can still have a site plan review process. Well, no.
No.
You either trigger it or you don't.
Sure.
But establish it through the regulatory process, which might be a reduced thing, so it might not be as significant as what we currently use for site plan
Yeah.
review.
Yeah.
For these residentially scaled. And so that seems like it'd be a minor modification to that footnote down there, where it says, subject to site plan review pursuant to section 9.4. We could say site plan review as defined in the pending regulations
How
or something
easy
like
would it be to change it to put above 20 and below 30, and leave, above 10 and below 30?
Oh, yeah, we could do that too.
Why don't we do that? Because then the 10 is like
See, I don't have a
80% of the
concept
town.
No.
The significance of these.
So,
The issue becomes, Aaron, I think you hit the nail on the head, where you have one property owner that's here, and then this guy's putting the whole array.
It's good to have a look-see,
You know.
because people have property rights on the other side of that fence.
Yeah.
It isn't always just that the property is offending the other property, but I'm always in defense of an abutter.
Yeah.
So, do we wanna go up to 10, no review, doesn't come to us at all?
How about if it's outside of the building setbacks?
I'm good with it. If it's outside, I'm good with that. If it's
Right.
outside the building,
What'd you say, number 10?
Otherwise, it has to go through site plan review.
outside the building setbacks, I think that would be fair. I mean, my big concern is, and I think outside the building setbacks, so you're already far enough in.
But what happens if you
backland.
get in the resident, what's it called, the downtown mixed use and other
Yeah,
places?
you're never gonna be able to put in ground mount solar in that area
Well, what's
anyways.
the other
And then
zone?
you've got water
There's one zone
runoff.
up from there, it's the village residential.
The RC two is
Yeah.
20,000 square feet.
Yeah.
So again, if you're outside the building setbacks, you still
So you
10,
think,
15 feet.
you think that
Well,
a-
So how
concern-
how
my
big is
concern
a
is-
30 kilowatt area-wise?
it's probably, I'm gonna tell you.
Panels.
It's probably 50 feet by about 70 feet.
And how many panels? How many panels
It's-
is yours?
I
That-
got
that-
16 panels.
I mean, to me, that's,
26
to me,
panels,
that's
I think.
minor.
I think.
I mean, someone could put up a
26.
garage and not have to go through site plan review.
Yeah.
So it becomes a question of if it's in the setbacks, I think.
Yeah, I think if it's in the setbacks, then you come.
And it's above the 10. I mean, the 10, I
Well,
can't.
the height.
I wouldn't want
Yeah.
to do.
No, not 10 feet, but 10 kilowatt, because
10.
10 is the threshold in the single phase.
Okay.
But you're only talking about that one single phase area, right?
What do you mean one? It's
No,
like
no,
80% of the
no,
town
here's
is
the
single
thing, Here's
phase.
the thing. So the one on South Street is 120 panels, okay? 'Cause he's got a shop in the back, he's got his house there, it's 120 panels, okay? And he's got, I don't know, 10 acres of land. So he built it, talked to his neighbor, hey, again, I think it's off the setback and stuff like that. So I'm good with the setback not triggering this.
Yeah, but
Because,
Can I say
You
one
can-
thing? National Grid, if it's single, will only allow you to net meter up to 10.
right now.
He might have 30 on his own with storage,
Right.
battery storage.
But that's right now, right? We don't know what
Right, we don't
comes
know what their
tomorrow.
plan is.
Comes tomorrow, with the energy usage of
Well,
everything,
it's
right?
not
But if it's a
Clogged up.
question of single phase
No,
versus.
no, and I don't wanna get into that. I think if we say if you're building your array and you meet the setback, you know what I mean, and it's off the setbacks, of building
You
setbacks.
just get a building permit.
Get a
and
building
go.
permit, go.
Is your concern the visual or just the fact
My
that?
concern is just the fact that you're putting, not you, but these people are putting industrial, again, I'm not concerned with the residential aspect. I could care less if you put an 8 kilowatt thing on your property line. Like, to me, that
But say-
doesn't
but
matter
say-
because it's not this big industrial thing. The way the ZBA reads, and I know solar currently is protected by Dover, whatever, and that's what we're trying to prevent essentially, but the verbiage in zoning is it can't be significantly detrimental to your neighbors. So when you're going in front of the zoning board of appeals, unfortunately, these projects don't have to go in front of the zoning board of appeals, so you don't really get to take that into consideration. I'm asking the board to put that consideration in there, so that if neighbors do wanna come,
Well, that's why we're saying it triggers to come before site plan review.
Yeah.
I don't care what what
Right.
you guys decide on, I don't know enough about solar to tell you what's big and what's not, I just think that something needs to be done. I don't know enough
It's like 60
about it.
feet by 60 feet.
All right, let's get back to the
All
article.
right.
Do we want to put the article on the warrant or not?
I think it just needs to be customized a little bit. My concern is that a site plan review could be anywhere between, $15,000 north of
No
$15,000.
way.
What do you think, the studies of plans that they've done over here?
That's
Take all
not
that?
typical.
yeah,
I mean,
no,
you
but-
gotta look at the magnitude of the project.
But
here,
if you've got,
Les.
if you've got drainage and all stuff.
10,000 times bigger.
Yes.
Yeah.
But again,
And there's no drainage here and stormwater management and.
No,
but
no.
again,
If you trigger
What's an
site plan
application?
review, you trigger site plan review.
It's
That's
really
why
about,
we have it.
what these are,
But
what
not,
these
you trigger it, you
Hold on.
trigger it.
But not every
What these
residential house should-
residentially scaled ones are gonna really be focused on are aesthetics, okay?
Yes.
And impact to the neighborhood
I
character.
agree, that's what it should
Okay.
be based on.
That's really, I mean, it's stormwater for that small of an area. is
What
gonna
do you
be-
think we?
You can't even
I wanna
model
ask
this.
Ernie.
So
I want you to
if we
say
do the
what you
building
want. What do you
setbacks-
think we should do here?
so why don't we do that? If we're just saying.
Do you think
saying that
cut
you'll
out the
trigger
10
it
up to 10 and
based upon
then
building
nothing and then
setbacks.
10 to
So if
30 or
If you're
something?
building outside your setbacks.
I don't have a
Because
problem
the guy who's
with the
got
way it is right
10
now.
acres.
I don't either.
But if you go outside the property bounds, you're gonna trigger something. You can build within your
Okay.
little area,
But
like
it's-
you're allowed to build.
But so we have to add that in here, that's what I'm saying, Ernie, I'm in support if we
We could
add
add
that
that.
in.
Yeah,
It,
I'm
in,
okay with
in the subsection 1, if you add in, if you're outside the building setbacks, then yeah, you're gonna trigger site plan review.
Then you're infringing on your neighbor.
Correct.
Right.
That's the
Can I ask
thing.
one of the people in the audience wanted to.
I mean, I don't wanna
Oh,
go
let's
back
not
to the
spend
audience,
any
no
more
more
time.
audience.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
This is not a public hearing, this is
Oh,
our
yeah, yeah.
meeting, I'm not taking.
I'd be
any
in
more-
favor of adding that
I'm
language.
in
We're gonna
agree-
decide.
I'm in agreement with you if we add in the language in the subsection 1, that if you're outside the building
It has
setbacks
to be
Outside
subject
the
to.
building envelope.
envelope.
Right, it has, it's subject to the building envelope.
Correct,
Right.
building envelope.
The current zoning envelope,
Correct.
2550, whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever it is.
Correct,
Yeah.
because someone like,
Well,
you
that's
know.
not the building envelope, is it?
Are you-
McCollum,
are you happy with that, Aaron?
It's the building section, building area that you can build within, the setbacks.
The setback.
But the
The setbacks.
setbacks, yeah, I'm okay with that,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's it. Then if you're outside that, then you're gonna trigger.
You're gonna trigger.
this.
That way you're not getting it
Sure.
10 feet from the street,
Okay.
50 feet back minimum.
That's my thing. I mean, Betty,
25 from
you know,
a
McCollum
board.
putting theirs in and stuff like that, they had to go through engineering plans.
So,
and
so
stuff like
in
that.
terms of
Good.
wordsmithing,
Good.
I'm still gonna go to town council with that concept and see what they come
Yes,
up
we
with.
need that feedback.
But otherwise,
Yeah.
this is a
So,
good
so I wanna be
move for
clear,
us.
we're talking about anything from the property line to the setback line, that would trigger site.
Right, it's a
plan review.
it's the building envelope.
Envelope.
Yeah.
Outside the building envelope.
Inside the building
No,
envelope.
No, if it-
Outside.
no, if
Well,
it-
outside,
If it triggers outside you have an envelope, if you
Yeah.
trigger it, then it goes outside the envelope, then you have.
There's
to
your
come in for
land,
site plan.
there's your
No,
land,
don't do
and you
that.
got your dotted line.
Inside the building envelope
Okay.
is where your house is.
If you're inside, you're okay.
that's what we're saying, inside the not the building envelope, but inside the
Correct,
setbacks.
lot envelope.
The
If you're inside the
setbacks.
setbacks.
Within the
yes.
setbacks.
Within the setback.
Within the
Yeah, if
setbacks.
you go outside the setbacks, then you.
Right,
You gotta do a site plan review.
right, okay.
Everybody in agreement?
Was it, yeah, but we talked about this before, I'm in agreement, but
Oh, here we go.
Like
there was, didn't we talk about having a special permit or something for
Yes,
this
for
issue?
for
That's
the
what this
larger
is,
ones.
is a
For
larger
the
one.
larger
For
ones,
the larger ones. yeah.
Or if you wanna go outside that
outside your footprint.
footprint, then you can come and beg,
Yeah.
you know, basically.
So if they're in the building setback, maybe we say put up a fence or put up trees or whatever. If you're,
But they'll have to come.
but they'll have to come.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll favor that. Does
Yeah.
that need just a vote, or what does that need
Right,
just
yeah.
with that?
No, I think we're good, yeah,
We add that in.
because we're still gonna have the hearing and.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Cause that way there, the person who's got 5 acres and wants to put in.
Thank you.
30 panels can put in 30
You
panels.
put it in, yeah.
No issue.
All right, so you're gonna run that by town council?
I'll run it by town council, see what they come up with,
We'll do
I'll
it next
distribute
He's
it
gonna run it
and
by,
send
we'll
it
get
to
to
the
look at it,
select.
yeah.
All right, next item.
Monuments?
But how about going,
Warrant article for
To the annual
preservation
town
park
meeting.
highway
Right.
bounds,
That's what he's
appropriation, I
preparing it
carry the
for.
same dollar amount, which should be
Thank you.
sufficient to do the entire length of Conservation Drive.
Do it, let's get it done.
Conservation.
We're all in agreement with that one, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Preservation Park?
Oh, is that the one we were
We
hopping
were
today?
non-specific at the last meeting, so I just picked
Oh,
Franklin.
okay. I didn't know we were hopping. I thought we were staying in that one subdivision. But to your point, fine, we'll hop.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Okay, then, minutes, Mike?
Mike,
Take it away, baby.
you're up, Mike.
I looked at them, that looks fine to me. I didn't find
Nice,
any-
good job, Mary.
Yeah, good job, Mary.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes as submitted for February 25th, 2020.
Second.
Made by Mike, seconded by Aaron. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Okay.
Can we get our meetings updated? 'Cause
Yeah, she's gotten
upcoming
really good.
meetings through 10.
Yeah, she was good anyway. She
yeah,
didn't,
okay.
she didn't
Same
miss too much. She didn't get fired.
Which you might wanna put like.
Okay, Bill, anything?
Just information, I'm not looking for discussion on this. I also forwarded a warrant article to the Board of Selectmen for the zoning map update. As you know, over the last year, we had some modifications to the zoning districts and so basically, the map's gonna reflect those changes, so we'll have an official map reflecting what's been approved already.
That'll be an article.
The industrial land.
Industrial and Schuster House
That's an
was
article.
rezoned, so
All right, anything else?
that's it.
Okay. You know what, we can see our next agenda items. And this came in sign folder, shouldn't be in, to be signed, we don't.
What is that?
Sign, calendar?
Losing ground?
Yeah, it's, I don't, it's in the sign folder, so I don't know, it should be in the information folder maybe, but.
Probably.
Yeah, okay, there's nothing to sign.
Okay.
So Mass Audubon,
You can keep it if
you want the letter that goes with it?
Sure.
If anybody wants to share it.
We're actually there next week, and that's.
Oh,
For soils moving.
Are we doing
All right,
anything?
Aaron has possession of it. Anybody wants to look at it?
See, take it from me.
See Aaron.
We expect a full report by the next meeting?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, they have large-scale ground-mounted solar arrays here?
There you go.
Wow.
So what'd you think?
I'm not used to these. I don't even have an iPad at home, so. But it's good. I like Tracy's idea of keeping
The cover sheet and,
Does it put everything on the iPad?
you guys are welcome to try this out. You know, maybe a couple meetings will do both, and I encourage you to at least consider it.
Save a tree?
Save a tree. It's very time consuming to do both, okay? So I'd like to try and do one or the other anyway.
It's in there.
I'd like to play with that, but my question is,
He takes it home. Can I get a test drive?
if you probably connect to Wi-Fi,
We connect to Wi-Fi, yeah.
is there a particular Wi-Fi in the building, or?
Yeah.
And where do you get the password for the Wi-Fi?
It's posted in the hallway in several
It's an open,
locations.
open
free.
Wi-Fi.
Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was posted.
hang out.
And are we now Douglas dash MA, or Douglas MA? What is our-
Douglas-ma.gov is the
Douglas?
official website.
.gov.
There's no dash in it anymore, or there?
There is a dash.
There is a dash. The
Douglas-
old one didn't have a dash.
Okay, and it was one of the others. So it's Douglas dash.
Douglas-ma.gov.
Right, anybody else have anything?
Do we have to do anything with residential compounds in the future?
We have an application on residential compounds that'll be on our next meeting.
Oh, we have an application? Oh, you mentioned about revamping the bylaw earlier.
Yeah, I mean, I still think we need to. I think having 10 houses on a dirt drive is
Jeez.
way too many.
That's crazy.
10, that's it?
So,
I'm
that-
not
that's
saying
my
you have
opinion.
20.
Here you have 1 per 2 acres, and then all of a sudden there's 10.
Hey.
So I think they should, personally, I think it should be a paved road. Yeah, the
Something.
width, reduce the width requirements and stuff like that, that's fine.
Shrink the lots and create more open space?
Well, the lots are double the area, I
1.5.
believe. And, well, when they take advantage of the special permit, 50 feet frontage, it's double the area.
It's over there that way?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Is it on a cul-de-sac kind of
Yeah, when you-
approach?
when you go to
or is
that
it-
50, you
it's not
can
a just
fan
Dennis
it
Strait
out.
Road?
Yeah.
yeah.
10, that's.
And as you know,
Pretty big
we do
cul-de-sac.
get complaints about private ways that are even paved, because they're private and the owners are responsible. So I can only imagine as we get these to come more and more common, and you have an array of people living out there and not just 1 or 2 people, it's gonna be, hey, we're paying taxes, why do we not?
40 people on that street.
There's one like that already.
Huh?
Already one like that.
All right.
Someone make a motion to
Yep.
adjourn?
Yeah.
Jake makes the motion.
Go ahead,
Motion to
Jerry.
adjourn,
Second.
made by Jake, seconded by Aaron. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Signing off.